Hey, welcome to Bonehead Weekly. I'm Joe Lewis. We haven't done an episode well, actually, they haven't seen one in 2 weeks, but I don't think we've done one in three.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah,
Three or four.
I mean,
but we've actually, so just real quick, we've actually been together a couple of times over the break. We actually hung out and didn't work on Bonehead.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I forgot what that was like.
It turns out that was a terrible idea. We should have worked on
see, I was being schmaltzy fuckstick. I was actually going to be like, oh, that was fun. Yeah, we used to have fun before we turned it into a fucking pastime.
Yeah, we watched we had this, and then and then before that we watched Skidoo together.
Yeah, that's
and
about it. Yeah, we didn't do anything for that. Although Skidoo,
way better. That's in
what I may have saw in the theater. That's actually probably my top 3 or 4.
That is my best of 2021. The 1970s release of Skidoo.
Is it 70s or 60s?
It's 60s maybe.
Like 60s. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's right. Yeah, it's 60s. The 1960s.
Because
Skidoo. And by the way,
Skidoo.
Bonehead listeners, if you're interested in anything that we talk about today, we're starting off with Skidoo. It is free to watch on YouTube. There is an amazing copy on YouTube. Watch it for all the insanity that it is.
Yeah. How did the movie ever get effing made? I don't know why I said fuck earlier, then went to effing and then said fuck.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, I do have, by the way, in all sincerity, we actually, and I forgot to tell you too, before we had, there is a listener, and a longtime listener out there who shares our stuff, Marianne Farley. She's had a rough go at it. We just want you to know that we appreciate you. We thank you for everything you've done for us, for being a friend. Thanks. And I know it's a tough time. So just know that the Boneheads are thinking of you. Also, we have a friend who's a little sick too. So
and
John
Marianne,
knows who he is.
If you're listening to us to ease your whatever's going on in your life, I am so sorry.
Yeah, we're sorry. We're sorry. You're now experiencing 2 tragedies, Mary. Sorry.
Have you thought about putting on some blues albums? It would probably do you better than us.
No, but
I think you have more sympathy that you're listening to us.
She's a friend from Scarefest and Comic-Con's, always a supporter of us, gentlemen, and she's had a rough go of it. I'll tell you later about it. But anyway, wanted to give her a shot.
Marianne.
Yeah, she is she's going
and I hope you kick Ginger right in the nuts.
It's a Gilligan reference.
So
I see what we did there.
Back to
that's right, people. Ginger was a hermaphrodite. They just never covered it.
And John Stith, really, I hope
actually they had to cover it all the time.
Is it scabies? It's mouth scabies, throat scabies. Throat scabies, right, James? You said I had a few years ago. It kept popping up on Facebook.
Yeah. That sounds.
James
like
has no clue. He is drunk as
I
hell.
say
Everyone
a lot of
thinks
things.
that all the dirty jokes are either me or all the shit jokes or poop jokes or Chad, and that's actually normally accurate.
Yeah.
True, yeah.
But they don't know about James's alcoholism.
I try to play it down a little bit, and I probably should own this. Much like figures such as Foster Brooks, I hide it well.
that's
4 people got that. 4. Look up Foster Brooks, kid.
It's a good thing that our show skews old now, and by old I mean post 28.
I thought you were going to say by old I mean cemetery.
Yeah, I was going to say, and by the way, that if you're watching the YouTube video, that isn't Mountain Dew James is drinking. It's absinthe laced with antifreeze. Just so y'all know.
I was going to make a long obscure joke about Twilight Zone and us being on the other end of that cable, the cemetery, and that's who's talking to the kid. Or the old woman. You remember?
Yeah. We're on the phone line talking.
I thought it was my dead husband. Blah blah blah. Anyway, that's back to what we were saying. 2021, gentlemen. Chad and I were talking about this before James popped on, and I had the hardest time with this because, quite frankly, I saw a lot of horror films because of Scarefest and the weekly thing I do for them. But as far as movies, I feel I've lacked more this year than I did last year because there's shit that came out this year that was supposed to come out last year, and I still missed it.
And I got to be honest with you, because Joe and I talked to this for James is on. I did not have that problem. This is like the first year I want to say since 2018, where I had a good solid list of movies and TV shows that I enjoyed that made me happy. I mean, last year was rough. I think if you go back and listen to our year in review episode, it was rough just to get through that one. But I really was pleasantly.
Was it rough to get through you doing it or them?
Me getting through it because I could not find anything that entertained. I was having a hard time. And then as we start today, it's 2021 started off with a bang for me. I just kept, there's been a few where I knew it, I wanted to see it, and I was really surprised. But most of the stuff I found, I stumbled into, and it was great. So yeah, in terms of entertainment value this year, I had some great times.
Before we go further, though, we are in 2022, and I thought as we're now facing 2022, now we'll end the show by talking about what we're looking forward looking forward to.
Told you about the alcoholism, folks.
Now listen here, Mr. Crash.
The antifreeze gives him the stutters, Chad.
Or is it the absinthe?
No, he's been here the whole time.
Absinthe just makes the heart grow fonder.
Oh,
but I thought since we're in 2022, we're going to end the show with things that we are looking forward to.
Yeah.
But to begin the show, here's some things that we should dread. Movies that took place in 2022 that are warnings. Soylent Green is going to happen this year, so we better get ready to eat, people.
Did you started?
Yeah, I was going to say, did you see that KFC's coming out with the what is it called? Whatever the vegetarian nugget is.
Impossible Nuggets or whatever?
Impossible Nuggets, yeah. So it's impossible because it's human ass meat, people.
I will only eat it if they name it the Unpossible in honor of Ralph Wiggum.
Me fell English, that's impossible.
The Hayes brothers, who most people know for The Conjuring, their movie The Dark Side of the Moon takes place in 2022.
Okay.
The Tomorrow War, which came out last year, I think, takes place in 2022.
I watched the first 10 minutes of it. I never finished it.
But
I couldn't make myself even turn it on.
Most importantly to us, because we ain't going to survive it, between eating people and this is the year of The Purge, gentlemen. The first Purge movie was set in 2022.
That was early last year, people.
But we don't have to worry about that because we're going to an island with Ray Liotta. That's right. No Escape is set in 2022.
Can Lance Henriksen be my buddy on the island?
Lance Henriksen, I'm hoping we're going to see pop up in a Millennium.
Fuck that!
Project.
I want Ernie Hudson.
I don't know. Kevin J. O'Connell's also in that picture.
Yeah.
And finally, perhaps
that was a good film.
No, it's not. I don't remember it being a good movie.
I'm going to drive over there and stab you in the neck. I love that movie.
Ray Liotta should not be a leading man.
Geostorm.
No.
Dean Devlin's Geostorm takes place this year as well. So between eating people, the planet trying to kill us, being stuck on an island with Ray Liotta, and having The Purge, this is what we have to look forward to if movies have prepared us for anything for the year 2020.
And by the way, we three are gainfully employed middle-aged men. I think movies have at least done something for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
I mean,
I'm not going to do that much self-reflection today.
I could, but none of it would end well.
No.
So let's get started. Can I go start first? Because it's one we spent a two-parter, which by the way, you guys were not huge fans of the two-part Ghostbusters series we did. I thought that'd be slightly higher in the rating.
Did it get any dislikes though?
No,
So
it's still not as bad as you.
So Vincent Price is more hated than the Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
and that's
Vincent
a
Price.
shame. He was in biblical epics and horror films. You all should be ashamed.
So the most fun I had
Ashamed.
at the theater at an actual proper cinema was Ghostbusters Afterlife. That was the most fun I had.
Yeah, I mean, it's on my list. Yeah.
But no, I'm straight up, as far as actual, this was a great experience, was Ghostbusters Afterlife. What was better? That you had fun going to a movie to see?
Well, that was the first time I'd been into a theater in over almost 2 years. So
well, shit on you, Chad. I'd been to a couple. I went and saw
Yeah, now I
Kong
was going to say. Yeah,
I went and see a few, and I went and saw the Green. Yeah, but
I'm closer to Chad here. Now, right before I did go see No, let's see. I went and saw. I've only seen about four movies in theater since the pandemic began.
Well, then maybe we should talk about that. We all three saw Spider-Man together.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
We didn't see it together, but we all saw Ghostbusters. I saw The Green Knight. And then Kong versus Godzilla, or Godzilla versus Kong. I saw that in the theater.
You literally named the only two movies I saw in the theater this year.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
There's one more. Oh, I watched that third Conjuring with Brandon Griffith, and I don't know if it was the date or the movie, but they were both boring. You think Brandon listens to us?
No, no.
Oh, I don't think so.
I'm amazed. Anyway, no. I saw.
He was told to listen to when I called him Rick Moranis's and Rosie O'Donnell's baby, and that's the only time I think he's ever listened to.
And it's accurate. It's accurate.
I saw that Spider-Man picture. I saw Ghostbusters. I saw the Bond film. I'm basically reliving my childhood in the 80s here.
Yeah.
With Spider-Man.
What was the fourth one?
Let's see, Ghostbusters, Spider-Man, Bond. Is that really all I saw? Maybe that's the only three.
Oh, I missed one. I took my kid to an early matinee and we saw the Paw Patrol movie. I completely forgot about that.
That made your
then you didn't
list,
realize,
right?
and then you didn't realize that it was on Paramount Plus.
No.
I take it back.
But I actually don't have too many regrets about that, Chad. He had a blast, sat there the whole time. We had a good time. He did better for Paw Patrol and Ghostbusters than he did Spider-Man.
And that was my experience with Ghostbusters. And we talked about this in the Ghostbusters episode, so I won't get into it. But yeah, going to the theater for the first time and taking my 7-year-old and watching her be amazed as I'm being amazed with Ghostbusters too. Ghostbusters Afterlife. And it was on my list, but I actually was one of y'all were going to bring it up, so it's not even.
Well, I knew we'd all bring it up. That's the reason why I started with that. Was the most fun I had.
Well, I was going to say, and that by the way, Joe, you asked what the fourth film was. It was Ghostbusters again. I took my kids to see it, so I've seen Ghostbusters.
Well, I saw it 3 times, but I was just counting the movies.
No, those Ghostbusters twice is my fourth film. I
would have saw it 4 times with you and your family if my kid wouldn't be an asshole that morning.
Well, he takes after his father.
That's right. And if I find that son of a bitch. I make the old joke, but the old joke doesn't talk to me anymore, so I'm hashtagging him too.
No. I think it's Phil Tippett now. We're going to blame this on
Phil Tippett. Is the real father of my son. So
doesn't wrangle dinosaurs nor children.
I wanted to start out with that because it truly was the most fun I had at the theater. It's an extremely flawed movie that, like Chad said, we already discussed in the other one, but it was made for us. So, gentlemen, who wants to go next?
James, you want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because mine's going to be quick because we talked about this in my other than Ghostbusters, the other movie that I had the most fun with, and I've mentioned this in a previous episode. I mentioned this on the short that we did with our friends at Good Movie Monday. Nobody was one of the most fun I've had watching a movie in a long time. Go ahead.
No, I bought it.
Yeah.
So I hadn't watched it. I just went and bought. So I went to go. I hadn't watched it. No, I did. I bought it before I watched it. So you both loved it, and I went to rent it at Redbox, and it said or buy. I was like, "What's Blu-ray? How do you buy a movie at Redbox?" It was like $3 or $4 worth every penny. It just puts it out in one of those cases, gentlemen. Have either one of you done it?
No.
They just give it to you in the regular Redbox case, and you bring it home, and you just keep it. You don't bring it back. Watched it that night. And yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And that's all it is. You don't go into it expecting. I enjoyed
the hell out of it.
It really is. I mean, Bob Odenkirk as an action star, you don't think it would work.
It works.
It not only that, the comedic timing, everything he did was just. And
it works. The director was the director of Hardcore Henry, and I enjoyed Nobody so much more.
And this is one thing that pisses me off this year. So there was a list of best action sequences of this year. And number 1 was the bus scene from Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
I don't know. I haven't watched it yet.
I thought
your ballpark, right? It's fine. Go ahead.
what's the exact title, James?
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the
Ten Rings. Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure I had his name right.
Yeah.
I watched that. I thought it was one of the most boring scenes I'd seen in a while. The bus scene in Nobody overlaps that 100 times. It far exceeds that. And there was no special effects in that. That was literally just two guys beating the shit out of each other. They used computer effects, green screen on Shang-Chi, and it still didn't match up to the rawness that was the bus scene in Nobody.
Yeah. Did you watch the making of that? Did you happen to watch it on the Blu-ray?
I have not watched it yet, to be honest with you. I keep meaning to, and then I've watched Nobody 3 times. Well, but I haven't watched any special features.
Right after the movie, I watched the making of that bus scene and the choreography, and it's you're right, it's all there, it's in camera.
Yeah, just like most of the
fantastic.
Stuff.
And he gets the shit kicked out of him.
And that's what's great about it. What action movies do you see where the star gets just fucking pounded and walks away? Even in John Wick, there's a little bit, but nowhere near that much.
I don't have as many Twitter followers as James does, but on Facebook, there's quite a few. And I belong to several groups, and most of them are film or TV or movie stuff. And one of the person was going off about just how unbelievable Steve Odenkirk was. And I think they're insane.
Did I say Bob Odenkirk?
No, I said it wrong.
Okay.
Yeah. So how Bob Odenkirk, that's insane.
Yeah,
they're crazy. Are we living in the same reality? He was fantastic.
He was honestly, in my opinion, when you watch more of the Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger, he was more relatable and more believable than
relatable. I'll give you relatable. I mean, and then you get his backstory, and then it's like, well, yeah, okay, so this is a B picture in the sense of that it's it's a generic action movie. But I'm with you, Chad. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I thought it was.
Now, James, did you see it?
Nobody? I have not seen Nobody yet.
Okay, then I can't say anything more.
No, go ahead.
I don't want to, James, because there is an actor that appears that we all three love.
It's Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah. Okay.
When it premiered, he live tweeted from the like they had a screening where it literally was him. It was when it went up first to rent digitally online. Yeah. And there was an option the first day it did it. It was literally Christopher Lloyd. If I may be misremembering this, but he was basically as Christopher Lloyd. You got to watch him live tweet what he thought of what he was watching on the screen. Yeah. I didn't do it, but I saw it advertised.
So yeah, but some of his scenes, James, are just mwah, and you need to watch it. If you need to borrow it from Joe. You can't have it.
Yeah. I am actually gonna, if you don't care about having the box, I'm gonna highly recommend buying a movie from Redbox.
Yeah. So that's Joe's 2021 best of. Buy it from Redbox.
Buy it from Redbox. Save you some coins there.
I don't want to, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave it to James because I got a lot to talk about. So in terms of movies and TV wise, so I'm gonna let James take over. James, what do you got, man?
Really, and I was saying about this, I don't have a lot from movies because
then I'll tell you still yours.
I watched a lot.
Couple. I said it was hard, but I didn't say it was impossible.
Well, that's the problem, though. My kids were still at home during the beginning of the year.
Yep.
And that was 24/7, 365. So there were things I couldn't watch. And so that really impacted. The one I will mention, and we've mentioned it before, so I don't want to drive it home, but it is something I can watch with kids, is Mitchell versus the Machine.
I still think
that movie has a lot of heart, but it's also
better than it had any right to be.
It doesn't pander to, family will always come through. They're a messed up family. Like, I mean, it's played for laughs, but there's not a lot of understanding. The father doesn't understand. And it does set up a good parallel from what I've experienced as a father, as a parent, in that, this may come as a shock to you all, but I'm not an actor. I'm not good at reading lines of dialogue.
It's funny because his Zoom was slowing down.
It's pausing up.
It was
and
pausing.
No, I actually was pausing.
The awful walk.
Yeah.
No, James, it was literally pausing. You were going. It was.
Oh, good. No,
it was doing on top of that.
Well, we need to pretend that this was all playing and that we have brilliant editors. Anyway, but my eldest child does theater. My youngest does karate, and I know you want to envision me as a master of kung fu and a great thespian, but I'm not. And so it was nice to have a movie where the family doesn't have a lot in common. They don't share interests. They don't have but they still pull together when they need to. And I think Mitchell versus Machine does that very well. So that is one movie I will give a shout out to, because honestly, had I not been locked in and trapped with my children, it probably would have been one I rushed to see. But because it was offered streaming, we discovered it quicker as a family, and we watched it quite a few times since then. So Mitchell vs. Machine, if you haven't seen it yet, you obviously can't hear us recommend it earlier, or you chose to ignore us, but you should check it out.
Well, the 2 or 3 of mine, I mean, so I'll follow up with, I didn't know if I was going to go my action way, because there's another action movie that I enjoyed the hell out of this year too. But I'll follow it up with the family one too that I would never have watched, like James. I was with, you have the kid, there's not a lot of places to go, and you're always looking for something to watch with the kids so that you can have family time. We often do family nights. So I've watched it too many times, but out of all the other movies, I liked it even better, even though I think Mitchell's versus Machines was very well made. As I enjoyed the hell out of Luca, I have probably what he enjoys it. I know I'm living it through him, but it's so much better than all the other things that they have dropped. Disney Plus has dropped all throughout the year for me. Luca was my favorite one. Have you guys watched it?
Yeah.
Oh, I have
several times.
I'm sorry you didn't like it.
It was going to be on the disappointment list for me.
I really like Luca.
Well, here
it all works for me. Like Raya and the Last Dragon, I had a hard time sitting through that one. I
agree with you on that one.
What was the other one that just came out?
I'm
Encanto.
Encanto I like scenes in it. Watched it Christmas Day, but to me it's an uneven film. I'm glad somebody else agrees with me, but I really liked it.
It was one of those ones, like you said, it was, you're trying to find something with the kids, and all the family with me would just watch Luca, and none of us could get into it. Haley a little bit, but it was with Haley. My daughter Haley, it will always be, I want to watch it again and again and again, and she didn't do it. She only watched it once, and then half of it again a later time, and then it just kind of dropped to the wayside. And I'm just like, I could never get into it. I was sitting there going, I just wasn't following along with the characters.
Yeah.
So and I'll split the difference between the two of you. We liked Luca. We watched it twice. I mean, over the course of the time. Raya and the Last Dragon, I liked a lot of it visually. My eldest is obsessed with dragons and things, and
right.
So that probably helped a little bit there. I like the characterizations in Raya and the Last Dragon. I haven't got to see Encanto yet. My eldest went and saw that in the theater without me. Also went and saw West Side Story, which is a nice parallel, by the way, because the movie she saw right before everything shut down was also a musical, Cats, which I'm pretty sure actually caused COVID. I have no data to back that up, but let's just blame that on Cats too. I'm sorry, James Corden, but you've got to take the fall for this. But anyway, I say all of that to say, Amelia loved Encanto and has watched it 4 times. I've still not got to watch it.
It's okay. It has some really good scenes in it. Some of the songs are really good.
She really likes the one scene that I have got to see of Encanto, and it's literally because Amelia screamed, "Hey, this is my favorite part." So I was like, okay, I'll sit down and watch it with you. And it's the scene where the older sister is talking about, the strong one is having to, she feels like she can't let up, she can't. And the fact that that's my daughter's favorite song, I was like, I got to pay for counseling. But that being said, no. So
he said that being said several times.
Well, it literally falls in between everything, because I actually, as far as me sitting down to watch it, Luca is probably the best told story. There's characterizations
out of all the Disney stuff this year. Yes.
There's characterizations in Raya and the Last Dragon, though, that I loved. And I loved that some of what it showed, quite frankly, and there's going to be people that get mad at me saying this, but they probably don't watch our show. It's the Star Wars of the Disney animated. I mean, there's parts of it where I'm like, oh, it's Raya and the Last Dragon could be Raya and the Last Dragon. The scenes where she's riding the bug across the fields, the scene where I'm like, yeah, it's a little Star Wars.
Yeah.
Reuniting the empires, et cetera, et cetera.
Who's next?
So
I'm gonna
sorry.
go.
Oh no, I'm just moving along. We got a bunch of stuff to go through.
Yeah.
Do we? I don't. I'm done.
I'm gonna go for my second favorite film of the year. Pig.
I haven't got to see it yet.
I
know neither are Joe. I really did.
It's on Hulu.
As soon as I heard it, which all I knew about it was Nicolas Cage is out for revenge of the people who stole his truffle pig. And I'm like,
it is on so many best of the year.
It is on a lot of best of lists. When I was,
and I didn't know that.
Yeah,
and that's I saw it on Glenn's list, and I'm like, oh, so me and Glenn have that in common. That and Nobody were both on his list. I didn't know that I knew it had a lot of word of mouth, but when I heard about it, I'm like, that had me right there. That short little synopsis. Nicolas Cage is out for revenge for the people who stole his truffle pig. And it is so much more than that. And Nicolas Cage, I hope, will go down as one of the best actors of our generation. Simply because
so misunderstood.
He really is. He takes so many roles because either A, it's the money thing, or he just really likes act. He likes doing his work. Either way, you want to see it. And he does it with Pig and does very little. And that's what's amazing about Nicolas Cage. Hardly any dialogue for the majority of that movie.
And he's had so many movies come out this year as well. I mean, Willy's Wonderland,
which will be on my list of
as mine.
Of disappointments of like. Did you watch it, Chad?
Oh yeah.
Oh, isn't it just a waste of space?
It's awful. Yeah.
I also haven't got to see. I love Nicolas Cage. That is how much my children have driven me crazy. I have got to get away from my children so I can watch adult films again.
Nicolas Cage will appear
and then watch some Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage will appear in this conversation 3 times for me. So if that's any preview, keep watching so you can hear me mention Nicolas Cage again. But no, Pig, I because I don't want to. It really is all the hype that it is getting. It is worth it. It is a bizarre film that goes into areas that you don't think it's going into just based on that synopsis. I mean, I'm not going to talk about it too much because these 2 gentlemen haven't seen it and I don't want to ruin it for them. I'll watch it this week. As well as those audience members who may have not have seen it. It is on Hulu. If you have a Hulu subscription, check it out. But Pig is amazing. It's way more than that 1-sentence synopsis, which is all I was hearing before I actually got to see it.
Oh, and did you guys watch Ron's Gone Wrong?
No, I haven't watched it.
Okay, I liked it a lot too.
It's on. I keep trying to get the kids to watch it with me, and I'm. I
didn't even know it existed till it finally dropped on Disney Plus and HBO Max.
Oh, I knew it existed. I didn't hear anything about it.
I even had the toy from a Happy Meal. I had no idea what the hell that was. I missed it. That's how unplugged I was. I enjoyed it. Sorry, you were talking about family movies, and that would probably be my second or third of. Oh, that one was pretty good. I've only seen it once, but and don't get me wrong, it's not the best thing on earth, but it wasn't bad.
I'm trying to convince the girls to watch, and they're like, "Hey, I want to watch this instead." So
no, it's fun. You'll enjoy. There's a lot of humor for you.
Good. Yeah. Which means poop jokes.
No, just things that aren't necessarily going to make other folks laugh.
Gotcha. Yeah. James, what about you? What we got?
And pee jokes, Chad.
Yeah. And puke jokes.
What's your next one?
James, go.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't get to see a lot of movies this year.
All right, fine. I'll take your spot. So what we were going. Sorry, I'm just fucking.
No, go. Seriously, I don't, because
I've got 4 more, so we can.
I've got a couple more.
I've got more television shows this year. I don't.
Hold on. Well, let's finish up the movies and we'll go to the TV.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I really liked a movie that you can watch. I think it's on Hulu. It's directed by Joe Carnahan. I really liked Boss Level.
But isn't Boss Level 2020?
Is it? I didn't see it until 2021.
I'm pretty sure.
No, it's on a list. Hold on.
Yeah, but a lot of those lists are
if it is 2021, I would have put it on my list as well because damn, Boss Level was
2021
fun.
Hulu. Yeah,
I thought it was 2020. I didn't put it on my list because
Boss Level is a lot of fun. It is so many other movies that you've seen before.
Yeah,
but it's just done really well.
And
Frank Grillo.
Frank Grillo is fun in it. He's perfectly
fun.
Cast. Mel Gibson's perfectly cast.
Yeah, Will Sasso as his henchman.
Yeah.
And Joe and James, I don't know how James feels about this or not, but Joe and I both agree that any Joe
they're all good.
They're
at least watchable.
Oh yeah. No,
I
agree.
was so disappointed when we didn't get the Daredevil movie that he wanted to make.
Yeah, the 70s one, right? The 70s grime, well, like Mean Streets version of Daredevil.
Yeah. So yeah, I would have loved to seen it.
It basically, the plot of it, folks, and you can find it on Hulu. Several of these movies that we're going to talk about, you can find on streaming, is that it's a Groundhog Day action film. He dies. He's getting murdered every day.
In the most glorious fashions possible.
Yeah, in every wonderful, glorious thing. And also, it has one of the new Dodge Challengers convertible, which, by the way, you can't buy, because that was actually what I thought about. I've been talking about in my head and every once in a while out loud of, I am 43 years old and I'm getting close to having a midlife. I need to buy this vehicle to drive around just to prove that I'm, I don't know, whatever cliche. If I could, I would buy a Dodge Challenger convertible, but that's expensive. You have to buy one, take it to this place, I forgot where it was, and they custom make those for that movie. So just an FYI.
Wow.
I know that's only interesting to the 3 or 4 people out there that are into cars.
So for me, this is going to be the one that Joe doesn't agree with me on. We've had a conversation about this already, but I really enjoyed Suicide Squad this year.
I like scenes in it.
You like scenes in it, yes.
I like scenes in it, but it was not. No, it didn't.
Yeah, Joe has a problem with some of this. I'm not meaning to talk for you, but Joe had some problem. And by the way, Mick, I hope you're listening to this, and I hope you call Joe and chew his ass out for how much Suicide Squad and how entertaining it is. I will agree with Joe that there are scenes that don't fit into the overall movie, but the humor and the action and the story pulled me in enough to where I was able to forgive it for those certain scenes. But again, that's what happens when you give James Gunn full control.
I love the first 15 or 20 minutes. Another criticism I have of it is that, and I was telling Chad this the other night, I was like,
and I agreed with him.
The whole, really, it's a combination of Guardians of the Galaxy and the other movie that he did that I love called Slither.
Mm-hmm.
And the third act is Slither. It really is. I mean, it's a lot of Slither. And I guess, I mean, if you're going to rip off yourself, but it just, to me, it was Slither and Guardians of the Galaxy.
And also too, I felt like he kind of tapped into a little bit of the Avengers. If you do a comparison of the first Avengers to that, the final scene of that movie, there is, but again, I was able to forgive it because I actually was able to sit down and watch it and laugh.
I love the opening. The first 15 or 20 minutes is just fantastic.
Idris Elba, who will also appear in this list fairly shortly again, he was great in the movie. And
the scene with he and his daughter in the prison's hilarious.
Yeah,
I just think there's just scenes in it that are.
And I agree, there are scenes that don't. And I agree with Joe that didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
So that's my third one. Joe, do you want to go?
Really, probably this will be my last movie, and I'll let Chad take over because there's several other films I saw that I liked, but is The Green Knight, and it's another movie I saw in the theater, and it just one of those movies that spoke to me. It itself is not the best movie probably made this year, or even close. It's slightly uneven there's a sequence that I don't want to give too much away that involves a fairly famous actor towards the third act that it's probably unnecessary, but the movie spoke to me in a way that I hadn't really experienced in either since Midsommar or Hereditary. But in this one, it was just, I got it. Like other people going, well, what the hell sense does that mean? And it didn't do that to me. Does that make sense to you too? I was like, this is about a dude. This is about a dude go ahead.
How does it compare to the Sean Connery?
I already told you this. We did this on the other one. Anyway, it's a dude telling a story about what it is to be an adult or be a man, for lack of a better phrase. It's like about acceptance and what are you willing to do and what are you willing not to do, and taking responsibility for yourself. At least that's what I read into it. Now, one of you all watch it and come back and tell me that I'm an asshole, and then tell me what's wrong with the movie.
But I mean, but the Green Knight is kind of, I mean, it's an Arthurian legend, right? I mean, it is.
Yeah, well, it's been it's extremely old story.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like Beowulf in some way.
It is exactly like Beowulf in the sense of we don't know. It's like anonymous, right? Do we know who wrote the Green Knight? I don't know off the top of my head.
Well, it's been adapted, and that's the thing. It's been adapted.
It was Murray Abraham.
I think it was Sir Ben Kingsley.
And like an old story, it doesn't necessarily make a whole hell of a lot of sense, because these stories were written thousands of years, literally thousands of years before our culture, where you can make giant jumps. For example, there are stories that worked for 1930s audiences that don't necessarily work for us now, right, gentlemen?
No. Well,
and it's the same thing, and you're trying to build it. I don't know. I
going
love
back
his
to
perspective of it.
Going back to Beowulf, I mean, that's one of the things that Beowulf has changed over times, and you can find the different texts because it was an oral tradition,
right?
And you can tell when they Christianized it, for lack of a better term, when Christianity popped up, and they were like, "Oh, we've got to build that into Beowulf," and so you can tell because these were oral traditions; they were passed on verbally. So of course you're going to change it to suit the audience, so to speak, right? And so. But no, I just think and the reason I wanted to say that is it does make me kind of wonder what other oral traditions, those ancient stories, for lack of a better term, are still wandering out there to be adapted. So,
yeah. Chad, what else you got?
Okay. So I love Westerns. And I didn't get into Westerns honestly till I was in my early 20 or late teens, I should say, like 17, 18.
And then he saw Posse and it was over. Everything was Westerns.
James, it actually is going to tie into this pick.
I know what it was.
I knew what he was going to say too. Yeah.
The Harder They Fall.
Is it good?
I enjoyed it quite a bit. I really did.
I know one of the listeners of our show enjoyed it, and it's on my list to watch. Yeah.
It's just one of those of finding 2 hours.
Yeah. I didn't have 2 hours. I actually, this is one of those movies I got to watch where I work out on my lunch break. So I got, 40 minutes here, 40 minutes there. I was able to complete it. And man, I enjoyed it. The cast alone, Jonathan Majors, Idris Elba, Zazie Beetz, I know I'm butchering her name, Regina King, and then one of my favorite guys of late, Lakeith Stanfield, is still one of my favorite actors since Sorry to Bother You. But yeah, all the characters in the movie were real people in the Old West. Now they didn't live these lives. It is not biographical in the slightest.
It's Deadwood. These people existed. And we're going to flesh them out. We're going to add things to them.
And that's where the movie starts. There's actually a graphic saying this, something about this is a story, something along the lines, this story is fiction, but, and it does each one, but these people existed. Because these are African Americans in the Old West who have been largely forgotten simply because they were African Americans.
Well, and if I remember correctly, I saw an infographic once.
And Delroy Lindo's in it, by the way. I forgot. As we're talking, I'm like, how could I forget Delroy Lindo, one of the best actors out there. Period.
I saw a graphic once though, and it would make sense that a third of what we consider cowboys were African American, and you're absolutely right. They've been removed from history.
Yeah, it's all about the white guys because we're in that country, and I'm not going to get into that right now.
The country for old men. They don't have any.
There's no country for old
men.
But all right, but yeah, every person in this movie did a solid performance, and I highly recommend it. I've got 2 more if you don't mind me.
No. Can I I'll throw in one, and you go with your last 2.
Yeah.
This is not a whole movie, so I told you I had to watch a lot of horror films. There's just 2 scenes out of this that I highly recommend. You have to watch the movie to get any of it. But 2 scenes out of Malignant are worth watching. Malignant.
Yes.
Malignant was the other one I almost mentioned. And absolutely right, Joe. That's why I didn't mention it. I was like, well, God, there's scenes in it I love.
Right. Yeah. In the Zoe Bell and the fight scene in the jail that then goes into the police of them.
It fighting. Is bad shit nuts, but man.
It is so much fun. James Wan, when he and I guess that's the reason why Aquaman didn't necessarily work for me. Is not as bad shit as some of his other movies. If you just let him unhinge, right?
Yeah.
Like Insidious. No, I was gonna say, and that's just let him unhinge. It's just because that movie has. It's hard for me to recommend too because it's such a ripoff of Basket Case and some other movies. But if you've never seen Basket Case, I can imagine you went, what the fuck? Right? You have no idea what's happening. You're like, son of a bitch. I would have screamed it out if I didn't know what basket case was. Wouldn't you?
And honestly, but at the same time, I still go son of a bitch when the jail scene happened. I'm
when
like,
the jail scene happens, and Zoe Bella's like, what the fuck? It's right. It's so much fun. And I wish the ending, you know what, past the bad acting, because there's some bad acting in that movie, past some of the dialogue, the ending bothered me. The ending was not dark. It had too much of a little sunshine ending bow on it for the rest of that movie. But I tell you, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than I did Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah.
As far as just batshit nuts, because that scene with what the fuck, if you had never seen Basket Case, and if you're listening to this now going, what's Basket Case? Watch Malignant. Then go watch
Basket Case.
Yeah, because you're going to say, what the fuck? Chad.
All right. So we'll be talking about this in the TV. I didn't find a lot of good comedies this year in terms of movies, but there was one movie where I solidly, and I have a hard time with this lately, other than Ghostbusters Afterlife, there's a couple of times, but where I solidly laugh, like real laugh. It's been a long time. But Barb and Star Go to the Vista Del Mar.
Haven't seen it.
It was on a lot of lists. I have not seen it.
I could not stop laughing. It was just one crazy scene after another. And Kristen Wiig, and I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher her name, Annie Momolo, who's a longtime partner with Kristen Wiig in terms of writing. Just everything comes out of left field out of that movie. Like it's these two, basically hermits. They live together. It's streaming on Hulu.
Okay.
But it's these two ladies who do not get out of their small town at all. They're shut-ins basically. They have their own little life, but then they just said, we need to get out of this. Let's go on vacation. And they go to Vista Del Mar in Florida. And then some of the most batshit crazy stuff happens that you wouldn't, I don't even want to give it away.
Okay.
But it's a solid comedy, guys. And Kristen Wiig, I love Kristen Wiig. I know, I don't know how you all feel about her. I'm
50-50. There's some things, she's extremely talented. If she's cast right. I find that a lot of times I don't think she's cast right.
Right. Well, she and this is her casting herself. So
don't you all think though?
There are some stuff that she's in that
like the Ghostbusters reboot. I just don't.
But and that's one I don't agree with you on, because I actually didn't have a problem with her in that movie. But no, Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar. I don't want to go too much into it because I want you guys to watch it and then get back to me.
Okay.
A lot of solid laughs. I just loved it. And then my final movie for this year, because I saw a movie from South Korea that I really enjoyed, Space Sweepers.
I saw it on a list, but I'd never heard of it.
It's on Netflix. It's a Netflix exclusive, but yeah, it's all about these. It all takes place in space. It's kind of similar to Firefly in that all these people are in space. They're basically junkers. They are all competing junkers, spaceship people competing for huge piles of junk that they can sell. And there's just this one spaceship, and then they run into they're looking for a score, and they run into something that changes all their lives. And they go on this adventure trying to protect this one thing, this treasure that they find.
Hold on, let me be this asshole. Do I have to read it?
Yes. Well, no, they do have the dubbed version, but I highly recommend the subtitle version.
Okay.
Hold on, let me be this guy. Is it the Event Horizon? Is that what they find? Is Isla Sam Neill there? Is he going to tell me that where we're going, we don't need to see?
There is a villain in the movie that the villain in the movie is somebody you don't see coming. So yeah, it's kind of funny. The villain's English.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's a Star Wars.
Chad. It's on lists.
Is it, man?
Yeah,
so
it was on a couple of lists I saw, but I'd never seen it.
Well, I see. I didn't make any list. I figured Pig and Nobody would be on people's list, and probably Suicide Squad. I didn't think the last three would be on anybody's list. I was like, well,
no, the Barb and Star thing I've heard of, but I if you'd have told me Kristen Wiig was in, I would have already forgotten.
Yeah, Barb and Star Go to the Vista. That alone, the title alone, people, is worth going, what the hell is this? All right, so that's our movies list for 2021. What do we got for TV, guys?
Oh, this is tough. Go James.
I've got
Yeah.
one, and if this is on anybody else's list, I'll be shocked. But when I sat down to think about what really kept me going,
I'm going to tell you, if you pick mine off your list here, I'm going to punch you. I'm going to come over there and punch you.
No, well, if I do, I'm sorry, because this is one that actually meant something to me, and so 2021 did not start well for several different reasons for me personally.
I'm sorry, I tried my best.
And you failed.
If you just would have popped out of the cake like you were supposed to, instead of not being in the cake. Anyway,
it was warm and tasty in there.
He's not talking about the
talking
cake.
about the cake. Anyway,
I was going to make his
something
mom's
that actually
vagina.
meant a lot to me, and I went back and watched it again, and it shouldn't be entertaining as it is. And like I said, I assume it's not on anybody's list but mine. But I really enjoyed Pretend It's a City.
Nope. I don't even know what the hell
enjoyed
that
it
is.
though, but Christy was thoroughly bored.
Now I loved it, and like I said, I went back and rewatched it, and it's sort of like, I think what it boils down to is, and I'm going to tie it back to something y'all know I was going to mention. Harlan Ellison moved out to the West Coast and said he never wanted to live in New York again. I'm pretty sure Fran Lebowitz is almost an East Coast version of Harlan Ellison.
She's pretty close, yeah.
And watching her have a conversation with Martin Scorsese and her just walk through the city and her just grab, honestly, it was really comforting for me with everything else that was going on, with all the challenges. And so it's really weird. I'm going to
check this out, guys. I had to look it up just now. I was like,
you'll
I forgot
enjoy
about
it,
this.
Chad.
It's pretty much Martin Scorsese being a big New Yorker, and Fran Lebowitz, who is a New York author, and they engage each other. I mean, that's really, they care about each other. I guess they have a friendship, but they sit down and have, I mean, there's scenes of it where they're just sitting in a restaurant talking.
Yeah. Well, she talks and he laughs. They made a whole Saturday Night Live sketch of it that I hadn't actually watched the show, and then I watched the show going, oh, that was the reason why that could have been funny.
Well, and I didn't see that sketch. I didn't see that sketch, but I mean, it's there's a lot of respect. And what's really funny about it was, after this came out, I was like, I've read a couple things by Fran Lebowitz, but I'm like, I should read more. And I started to research Fran Lebowitz, and it made me think even more of Harlan Ellison, because somebody made the comment, now more famous for not publishing things that were supposed to be published, which was something else Harlan Ellison got known for as well, particularly the Third Dangerous Visions. But anyway, I love authors. We've been fortunate to have some authors on our show in 2021. I love talking to authors, and just to see Martin Scorsese, who is a name to conjure with. I mean, the scenes where they're walking around a model New York City, and she's making, and talking about how much she hates tourists and why she never goes to Times Square and all this stuff. It's just, I don't know why. But if you haven't seen it, if you like listening to authors talk, or if you just like watching interesting people have conversations, or if you like grumpy old men, I don't know, whatever it is, it was a lot of fun. It was comfort food for me. It was a comfort food for me. It was done. How many episodes is it, Joe? Do you know off the top of your head?
It's only 6 or 7 or 8. I mean, it's you could honestly, and they're about 30 minutes a piece.
There's 7 episodes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I said 6, 7, or 8. So there you go. There's only
somewhere between 1 and a billion.
That's all there is. I enjoyed. There's a really good episode where she's talking about buying an apartment and how she's never. Well, I bought when you weren't supposed to. I never buy when I was supposed to. No, you should have bought a year ago. It's always a year ago. I don't know. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. If you like curmudgeon, she's an old curmudgeon, and James is right.
And the title comes from Pretend It's a City, comes from Scorsese says something about dealing with tourists and everything. And her response is, I like to walk up behind, or she doesn't say I like to walk. She goes, what gets me is they stop and they're looking at their phone or a map or all of that stuff, and they block the walkway. And I just want to walk up behind them and scream, pretend it's a city, get out of the way.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. I mean, and so, like I said, I don't know why, but it is one of the shows that stuck with me the most that premiered in 2021. There were some shows I could talk about that second or third seasons came out in 2021, but as far as something that premiered in 2021, Pretend It's a City, I loved.
Who's
I
up
enjoyed
next?
it immensely.
Me or Chad?
I'll go.
Dick.
So I'm struggling with which one to list as my favorite, but I'm going to assume one of y'all is going to bring up the other one. So I'm just going to mention this one because it's kind of honestly, I think it's kind of unknown. It's premiered on Amazon Prime Video. Frank of Ireland.
No idea.
It's only 6 episodes. It is the entire Gleason family: Brian, Domhnall, and Brendan.
Yeah.
It's
You
all
had
takes
me at
place.
Gleason's.
Yeah, it's the main star is the lesser known Brian Gleason. The show was actually created by Brian and Domhnall. Domhnall, how do you say his name?
Domhnall Gleeson.
Okay.
I have no fucking clue, Chad. That's close enough.
Well, they
Big
created
Daddy
it.
D.
Big Daddy D.
And it is a bizarre film, bizarre, and it's one of those shows that made me laugh. Brian is just this loser, 32-year-old guy who lives with his mom. He has aspirations to be a musician, and he's fucking terrible at it. And it's all about him abusing his best friend, who looks nothing like him, played by Dom Hudnall. God damn, I'm gonna stop saying his name because I feel like I'm butchering it.
Played by other Gleason boy.
The guy from Peter Rabbit.
Jackie
That's
Gleason's
what
nephew.
you pulled out.
Jackie Gleason's nephew. See,
What's the great? Is it About Time? Is that the time travel
About
movie?
time, yeah.
Oh man, that's such a damn good film.
Or Star Wars, but keep going.
No.
Well, people are going to know that. Over 1 billion people saw that.
But yeah, no, it's just him pulling his best friend into his crazy hijinks, and then there's a little twist in the middle, and it's only 6 episodes. I highly recommend it. It really is funny. It's just crazy. It's nonstop. And by the way, they're speaking English, but sometimes you have to turn on the subtitles because it is really fast Irish. So highly recommend it. Frank of Ireland. What do you got?
Man, I have a hard time because there was 2 that I really enjoyed, but I'm going to pick one of them, even though the last episode was just so stupid. And stupid in the sense of no character would have made that decision. You just needed to end the series. Midnight Mass.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Midnight Mass was so good. Although it should be called a friend of the show and friend of ours, Laurel Hightower, the renowned writer now, who is a friend, she called it the Midnight Monologues, and that's accurate too. It's extremely accurate. We're going to start here with the medium shot, and we're going to slowly go in while you tell us all this exposition. Then we're going to go over to the other side, and we're going to start here with the medium shot, and then the character on the other side of the couch is going to give us all this exposition. Correct, gentlemen?
Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah,
and a lot of it, but it works.
It's
a vampire story, not to give too much away, but I'll tell you that you figure it out in the first 2 or 3 episodes. And the only issue I have with it, the criticisms and a lot of people love it. Mick Garris said it was one of his favorite things that he's seen in a decade. But one of the criticism I have is the final episode and how they chose to wrap it up is so stupid, because let's burn it down makes no logical sense.
I agree with you. With you that it makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
I like to think that's because they've heard me rant on this show about how I'd fight the Blair Witch. That's right. We're taking credit for it.
It could be, but it's the villains who burn it down.
I know.
Right.
It wasn't the Blair Witch. You're not saying the Blair Witch should set the forest afire. You said you should set the forest afire.
Yeah,
because the Blair Witch.
I agree with you that ending was like, and honestly, I see where he was going with that. But I do believe that it was executed wrong. However, and by the way, if you haven't seen Midnight Mass and you're going to spoilers, because
this is spoilers, because you can't talk about it without giving spoilers.
One of the scenes that I just absolutely loved was the main villain.
Yeah,
and it's not the main villain, the lady. She's down and she's accepted her fate that she's going to die. But at the very end, as it's coming up, she can't do it. She just starts digging.
It's brilliant.
Just starts digging.
I agree with you, Chad.
Oh, it was. I was like, that was worth the build up to that.
She doesn't have a character.
You hated that woman. You hated her, and I'm like, oh, she's finally accepted her fate. And then nope, you hate her. And then you're just I hate to say, you're enjoying watching her burn.
Yeah. Well, Tarantino, no one is better at, to me, no one is better than Tarantino of giving characters comeuppance, especially their villains, to make the audience leave with, for lack of a better word, phrase, happy ending.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, all of these bad guys get it bad.
Yeah.
Right. And you just enjoy them being punished. And you're absolutely right, Chad. She doesn't have the character that the other characters have.
Right.
She can't do it. She can't do it like, I don't know, like the preacher and his,
like every other person,
every other person who accepts their fate.
Yeah.
So, and I give him balls for basically killing everybody. He doesn't give them an easy out. And the thing that causes it may have gotten away.
And I can't feel my legs. Perfect.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I enjoyed it so much. And it's just that little thing of they're vampires that can't be out in the sun, not giving the thing away. So how are we going to get that done on this little island? The fact they put it on an island is pretty smart. But it's like, let's burn this down. It's like, hey, you're not going to do that. You've got to have a place later. And and he tries to explain it by, she wants them all to come to the church, and then she wants to exclude the main villain, like you're saying, who she doesn't think deserves this eternal life,
right?
This blessing. But Midnight Mass was so well executed. A main character gets killed twice and shocked the fuck out of me both times.
Yep. I agree.
I can never give a better compliment. That's the reason why I'm going with this over my second one, is that and Chad, I completely 100% agree with you. I didn't even think about that. Her death scene is amazing because she can't just do it.
Yeah, she just can't. She's trying to dig.
She can't do it.
And I think that works so well.
The main character gets killed twice, shocked the fuck out of it both times.
I think that works so well for me, though, because that particular character is the holier than thou character, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The person who should be most assured that what's on the other side will.
But in all fairness, and that's one of those tropes. You see it in The Mist and a few other films.
It's a Stephen King. By the way, you wouldn't have been shocked if Stephen King wrote it.
Right. Yeah. It's always the person who's really,
channeling Stephen King in Midnight Mass.
Yeah. It's always the person who holds on to the religion the most.
Yeah.
Who is the suspicious one.
The people who we see, and not to get too political in here, the fuckers who wrap themselves in the flag is the one you need to run from. Yeah. The people who just are zealots.
But Patton Oswalt has that great, he does it as a comedy bit, but he says, who do you really need to fear? And he's talking about people that have commentary on gay marriage. And so it's one of his older things. But I think about it often because he goes, do you really need to fear the person who goes, well, I don't mind if, gays get married, and that uses the wrong terminology, right?
Right.
Or do you need to fear the person that uses all the right words? Well, I think the LGBTQIA population deserves every right, but then follows that with, however, and then justifies the exact opposite of what they just said. And I think about that Patton Oswalt bit quite a bit because it strikes the same purpose, right? Who do we really need to worry about? The people that mean well but can't say it the way we want to hear it, or the people that can say what we want to hear but ain't really with us.
And that whole miniseries is just the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah.
Right.
He murders everyone on that island for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By having the best of intentions.
Yeah.
James, what do you got?
I'm going to bring one up, and it's not that it was flawless, but I liked it because it was faithful to its source. I want to talk about Invincible on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
If you've not seen Invincible, I'm going to spoil it. Sorry. Invincible, basically, imagine Superman, except Superman came to Earth years ago and has a kid and lives in the suburbs, and he's still being Superman, but he's waiting for his kid to get powers. And then one day his kid does. And that seems like, it's going to be a heartwarming family comedy. No, it's not. Or a heartwarming family show. It is not. So Invincible was about Invincible. He is the son of the big hero, and there's like a Justice League type organization. But I think about the second episode, that big hero that's like Superman kills the Justice League brutally, smashes their head in, beats the Batman character to death, does all this stuff. And he, of course, gets injured while he's doing it. And so while he's injured, his son, who now has power, pretty much takes over. Even with me spoiling all of that, by the time you get to the end of the first season, the son and the father fight. And there are no punches pulled. He is disappointed in his son, and he beats him almost to death. And it is a brutal, brutal thing to watch because.
And now you don't have to watch the show at all.
No, you do. You really should, because it also has a lot of commentary on it. Like there's a Green Lantern-like group that sends somebody to patrol the planet. That's voiced by Seth Rogen. It's just a really interesting take on the fact that we always have these tropes about, the Superman type character is always going to be good. He's always going to be, and in this particular one, he's more or less meant to be a colonizing force. He's supposed to sum up the planet, have a child, see if the child will have powers, and then wipe out everybody that needs wiped out. And so the comic book's older. Do you know when Invincible first started, Jed?
I really don't. I want to say
it's about a decade ago, right?
Yeah, if not earlier. I want to say it might have been the mid 2000s.
But I really thought when Amazon said they were going to adapt it, and I was like, yes, I know this is the same Amazon that gives us The Boys, but I thought they'd pull some punches on it. And they did change a couple things, but not much. It ends brutally. And it is everything. If you ever wanted to see, like, no matter how aggravated I get at my children and how much they can disappoint me in certain ways, I literally can watch that and be like, no, I'm a terrific father. They have no idea how lucky they are. So if you haven't seen Invincible, it is a superhero show. And if you like The Boys, you definitely need to see Invincible, because it plays with some of the same concepts in very different ways. But did you like Invincible, Chad?
I did. I will be honest with you. There were episodes where I'm just like, oh my, I felt like nothing happened. And I got bored, but it was all building up to something.
The first 2 episodes and the last 2 episodes are your ones that really move. But you're right. There's some stuff in the middle that is trying to build characters, and some of the characters I just don't necessarily care as much about.
And that being said, I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I'm not bashing it at all. It was just there was episodes where I'm just like, really, did that need to be there? It's just so much exposition.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I really did enjoy it.
It's not Midnight Mass level exposition, but there's a couple things, and there's the semi romance or.
And I was right. It came out in 2000. I was sort of right. It came out in 2003.
Okay. Yeah. So it's been out for a long time. But the show is new in 2021. If you never read the books, watch the show. If you did read the books, you've probably already seen the show. But check it out.
The only other one, did you all have any more other series? Or
I have several
to mention. Oh,
if you want, you can go, or you want me to go, and then that'll save me.
Go ahead.
Okay. My second favorite show of the year. It's on Hulu. Only Murders in the Building.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
I haven't got to watch it yet, so go ahead, tell me about it.
No, Joe, you go.
On my list to watch.
It's just fun. Christy didn't like it as much as I did. I just liked it. I mean, it's hard not to. It stars Steve Martin and
Martin Short
and Selena Gomez. And by the way, I never knew, and I'm not knocking her, I just don't know her other than she was a pop star. And when I saw that she was going to be in, I was like, but she's great in it. Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. The villain I saw coming.
Same here. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hard not to.
It's kind of.
But some of the podcast jokes really hit home.
And honestly, though, Steve Martin, who hasn't been in anything in years, he still got it. You forget
as fuck.
You forget why you love. I'm a huge Steve Martin fan, and I've kind of forgotten what he can bring to something, and his comedic timing and a lot of the stuff that he pulls off is just, I was rolling. I couldn't stop laughing.
He and Martin Short, it's hard not to watch it. And I'm telling you, the scenes where they have to have the meetings of the building people and they all hate each, it just works. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I recommend it for anybody who's a fan of either one of them or Selena Gomez, because she's fantastic in it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of serious.
It's serious.
It's a comedy, but it's serious. There is a murder. And the murderer may murder again and does try.
And also too, I mean, it goes into each character's personal, and Martin Short
has got a pretty fucked up past.
Yeah, it's pretty tragic. Steve Martin, his is tragic, but very funny.
Yeah, it's funny, but it's tragic.
Yeah,
and then we find out about Nathan Lane, who's also in the show. Who also?
Oh God, I forgot Nathan. Yeah, Nathan Lane. Yeah, everybody in the show. It just brought back all your favorites, and they put them into a murder mystery. And you would have never thought any of those would have been in that scenario, and it was great.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I actually rarely did not miss an episode the day after, either the day it premiered or the day after.
And for example, with my wife, very hard we have very differing taste. I cannot get her into anything that I enjoy, which is why a lot of my viewings, I have to stay up extra late to watch them, because I have two small kids who can't watch any of the stuff that I like, and she can't get into it. So the first few episodes, she's like, Chad, I have no interest in this. But towards the end, she was literally sitting there on the edge of her seat going, this is great. I'm like, now do you regret not? And she goes, no, I'm glad. I waited till it picked up.
Yeah. It's, well, actually, I never had a problem. I liked it the whole time, but I can get where if you're not a big fan of those folks, it's like, when does this get to something else?
I
get where that could be a problem with some people,
but I'm just like, I just loved it. Yeah. Okay. So we both agree. So I'll go ahead and I'll jump right to another Hulu show that I did not think I was going to like, but the title alone made me watch it. And I marathoned all 10 episodes laughing the whole way. Hit Monkey.
I was about to say Hit Monkey ties into one I was going to talk about. So go ahead, do Hit Monkey.
So I'm assuming I know what James is going to talk about. So Hulu this year, Hulu had these big plans of releasing a lot of weird branded Marvel shows. I believe Howard Duck was going to be written by Kevin Smith.
And there was another. For those of you that are worried, and correct me if I'm wrong, because Hit Monkey may be in the cinematic Marvel universe, but I believe they're set in Marvel Universe 1126, whereas the cinematic universe is 626.
I have no idea. I have not followed that much into those universes.
I
haven't
watched it yet.
Yeah, no, but the simple truth is it's about a monkey whose clan is murdered, and he seeks revenge. And he is guided by a spirit of a hitman.
Yeah.
And the hitman's voiced by Jason Sudeikis. The monkey is voiced by I am going to butcher his name, Fred Tascacori. He's the voice of the Hulk. Anything you see the Hulk that isn't Mark Ruffalo, it's that guy. I am sorry, I am butchering his name. He's one of the best voice actors out there. I've never been able to pronounce his name. Long Italian name.
Yeah.
But no, Hit Monkey, loved it. James.
I want to talk about the other weird Marvel show that they did, because anytime you can get Alan Tudyk, Bill Hader, Nathan Fillion, John Hamm, the cast on this is great, and Patton Oswalt, of course. MODOK on Hulu. It's set in an alternate universe, and actually they did tie it back to the MODOK in the Marvel films. I'll talk about that in a second. Yeah. But it's about MODOK being a supervillain, running AIM, the evil corporation, but also having to deal with his wife and kids at home. And his wife and kids hate him. They think he's kind of a loser, because he does lose. He loses all the time to the superheroes, and he's doing all of this stuff. And it's done in a Robot Chicken style design.
Yeah, it's produced by Seth Green.
Yeah. But some of the lines, and it's TVMA, some of the lines in it, though, are great. And the cast is great. And how it ties to the Marvel Universe, there is a there was a produced by the same people. There was a 4-part miniseries called Head Games that was published as a comic book, I believe. MODOK Head Games, and it actually explains how this universe ties to the other one. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where MODOK was played by oh shoot, who played MODOK? Why can't I remember that?
I honestly don't. In Iron Man 3,
yeah.
I don't remember.
Is MODOK in Iron Man 3?
I don't remember him being. That's why I'm kind of confused.
Oh,
I didn't know he was in the movies.
Anyway,
he played a normal gentleman, I think. He wasn't the.
Yeah. Anyway, that program, to distract it so it won't take over more things and come back to life, so to speak, is running a program called Jody, which is the name of one of his wife, and it's a program that they run that gives him this false sense of reality. So in theory, the Hulu show is that false sense of reality that they're using to distract him, so the program doesn't spread. Anyway, but MODOK, sort of. I mean, kind of.
Yeah.
MODOK, though, it's a comedy, and it's all about. It's a workplace comedy almost. It deals with him dealing with.
Wait, was Guy Pearce? That was
no. Guy Pearce, no.
He was the main villain.
Because Aldrich Killian. I thought Aldrich Killian was Tony Stark was his character. Hell.
Boys.
Anyway, so I'm going to go, James, while you're talking, I'll go ahead and talk about one of my, I really enjoyed, I believe it got mixed reviews, but I really enjoyed the Masters of the Universe Revelation series on Netflix.
I did too. The Kevin Smith one, not the other.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah, right.
We just finished it up the other day. All 3 liked it. No one complained. I loved what he did in the first part. I'm sorry, Chad. I just don't have anything else.
No, go for it.
I just enjoyed the hell out of it. I love the fact that those first 6 episodes or whatever it was took a total left turn, different. And then I loved they came back to Skeletor in the last 6. I just enjoyed. I liked Mark Hamill's Skeletor. I don't have one damn thing to say about that. Enjoyed the hell out of it. Thank you for reminding me, because that's on no list.
Oh, really?
I haven't seen it on shit, but yeah, I mean, I do know that I'll ever revisit it, and I loved what's her face Lynn as Evil Lynn. Oh God, great actress.
Oh, the girl from Game of Thrones, and
Lena Headey.
Dread. Yeah,
she's just that show's perfectly cast.
No, I agree. So I am a lifelong He-Man Masters of the Universe fan, always will be. Even though the cartoon's terrible, I'll free to admit that the cartoon's terrible, but I still enjoy it. So hearing the Kevin Smith, again, one of the people that I look up to in terms of writing.
I never would have picked him to do it.
Yeah, I would have never picked him to do it. Now, granted, he doesn't do a lot of the writing. It's basically he's kind of producing it. But man, I just enjoyed what they did with the story. And again, Hamill as Skeletor was great. I was like, oh no, he's just going to do Joker. And he kind of did.
But it works.
But it worked. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed Masters of the Universe Revelations.
And it gave everybody a backstory.
It did. And And it turned
interesting.
Especially Orko.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Orko was one of those characters I could give a shit about even as a kid. I'm like, I found him annoying, but in this show, they actually gave him something. They turned him into Gandalf.
Yeah. No, it works. James, did you watch it?
I have not. No.
I'm so sorry, boys.
You should watch it with Silas. I think you would enjoy it.
Yeah, they did the 2, and the Kevin Smith one, I just barreled through, and then when they brought out we just watched it was just a month ago, right? The second season came out. And then the other one they did, I couldn't make it past the first or second episode.
And I loved what they did with the He-Man, the whole mythos of, well, he can call upon him without the sword.
Yeah. And
what it does to him. Oh, it's just like, oh my God, this is a fate. I never would have saw that happening. So it was just great.
He did a great job with it. Kevin Smith did a really good job.
Yeah. Yeah. James, do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I'm going to list my final favorite show of the year. And I had a lot, but I'm going to, Marvel, Joe, we talked about this too. In terms of Marvel's TV shows, all of them have been a bit of a letdown for me. I have found parts that I have enjoyed, but Hawkeye is the first one where I enjoyed it from the first episode all the way to the last.
I've only watched the first episode so far.
Chad, I'll jump in here real quick because Hawkeye was going to be one I was going to mention. Hawkeye was enjoyable to the level that my wife sat down and would watch 3 episodes in a row, which is extremely rare.
Yeah,
that my wife will do that with any show, and we marathon Hawkeye. Well, the entire family sat down and watched it and loved it.
And it's the same thing that happened with me. My daughters, they love the Marvel films. They couldn't get into my oldest daughter. I haven't showed a lot to my youngest because she's still too young, in my opinion. But my oldest daughter, she couldn't get into any of them. So I actually gave up. I watched Hawkeye by myself. I watched the first 3 episodes, and then my daughter was staying up with me one night, and I was like, "Well, the new episode's out. Do you want to watch this with me?" And she watched it. I actually had to go back and rewatch every single one. And then she told my youngest about it, and my youngest asked to watch it with us. And I was generally hesitant because she kind of is very scared to watch stuff like that. I had to rewatch all the first 5 episodes, sit down and watch the final episode together. So I actually ended up having to watch Hawkeye a grand total of 3 times in the span of a month. I don't want to well, I guess I'll spoil 2 things at once, but hey, that's life. The other thing that there's a certain movie in theaters right now that's getting a lot of credit for bringing back a certain character into a certain universe, and Hawkeye does the exact same thing with an adjacent character and does it very, very well.
Now, I've only watched the first one. Please don't give this one away for me.
I don't want to give it away. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to give anything away.
This one, just let me. There's been an argument about the 4-year-old and watching too much violence. So
and I will leave it alone. But yeah, my daughters, and the cool thing about this one is my daughters, they've gotten into comic books with their dad. And the first comic book series.
When does he come see them?
I would say Phil Tippett introducing comic books. We're getting sued by Phil Tippett.
Every other Tuesday, Weekend Dad brings comics and candy corn.
But one of the things that they got really enjoyed was the New Avengers, because honestly, that is my favorite Avengers comic book, was the New Avengers that came out a while back. And they got tickled when some of the characters from the New Avengers started showing up, and they're like, "Oh, I know who that is." And we would talk about it. It was the most fun I had watching one of the Marvel superhero shows. And it was one of the most funs I had watching a show with my kids. So Hawkeye,
yeah, well,
I'll end with Hawkeye.
Now Hawkeye is great. And there's I've got one other show I want to mention, and it premiered this year. I've got another one I'm hoping I'll talk about for 2022 at the end of it. It's linked to it. However, it's a little bit too young for my kids. They still watch it, but it's not having the impact it would have had if they were about 2 years younger. I want to give a little bit of credit to Star Trek Prodigy. If anybody has watched Star Trek Prodigy, but me,
I just haven't been able to drag myself back into it.
I can't connect it. Well, and the thing is, they stopped showing up new episodes. They just, I don't know what happened there.
They're doing 5, and then they took 2 months off. They're going to do 5 more, and then they're going to take 3 months off and do 5. I agree with that. That, especially for a kid's show, that's odd space.
Yeah.
It works. You can do it with Star Trek, the live action, but
there's no like ease point off. It just stops. I'm like, what the hell?
They're getting ready to leave the planet that's destroyed, that's literally trying to trap them. And it's like, okay, see you in 5 weeks. No, I agree. That is poorly done. However, I was thinking about it, and I'm interested enough in it, even as an adult, because the casting is great. The villains, John Noble is a villain.
Oh yeah, John Noble.
Attention. But I also find it interesting because it has done. It is a show that's aimed for a younger set of eyes. I mean, really, it's kind of 4 to 8. Really, is target up maybe 10, 4 to 10.
And neither one of my kids got into it. I'll be honest with you. Neither one enjoy it.
I don't think I think there's not enough of it yet. I agree with you. I think they shouldn't have stopped at 5. They should have marathon 10, give me enough to get into it. But I think it has promise. It's not a miss yet for me. We'll see. But I do like some of the things that they've done. I like the idea. And the reason it also works for me is if you're a Star Trek nerd and know all the obscure trivia, they have done just enough to give you little bits of stuff.
And I'll be honest with you, I'll give anything a chance that has Jason Mantzoukas in it.
Well, so, I mean, you've got a Medusan, which was from the original series as part of the cast. You've got, and I think I give them some credit also. They freed themselves up by having it set in the Delta Quadrant and the Protostar engine and all that stuff. It's got enough to explore. I've enjoyed it. It's not great. There's not enough of it to know if it's going to be great. But I wanted to bring it up because as far as things I can watch with, I would have been ecstatic if that would have been available when my kids were about 6 and 7. I'll be honest, I would have been ecstatic if it was available the same time my kids were watching Star Wars Rebels, because it fits right in there. My kids are a little bit older now. They love Discovery. We all watch Discovery together. I wish that would have been there. So I'm excited for other people that have kids that may be that age that can get into it.
Well, does it pick up after the first? Because Rebels, I don't know. It seems like maybe it's because I'm a Star Wars person, but I love Star Trek. You all know I love Star Trek. But I just, that first, I don't know. It seemed just I just didn't get the hook like Chad was talking about.
No, there's the thing I'm interested in, and again, I think I agree 110% with Chad here, which is rare. Everybody mark this count day.
Well, we've actually pretty much agreed with each other for the whole hour and 42 minutes we've been going at this, by the way. We probably need to speed up a little bit.
But no, I think that it's one of the things that there's not enough to know yet. Like, I think the father-daughter dynamic is interesting. But we just don't have enough of it yet. I think parts of it do pick up. I think that the dreams and wishes when you get to the planet, which basically they find a planet that's sort of like the one from the original series that shows you what it wants, except this planet preys on you. It wants you to stay, and it's going to basically eat you. Mm-hmm. So it shows you what you want. And so, I mean, it's enough throwback stuff that I appreciate. I don't know if it's going to be great yet. There's not enough of it, but I wanted to at least mention it because it's a smarter kids show than we've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, probably since Rebels. As far as if you want something you can watch as a family that's also a kids show, I know, Joe, I know you're going to talk about how much you love to sit down and watch Paw Patrol and how you watch it all the time, even when Quint's not around. That's fine, Joe. I'm not judging you, you weirdo. But the point is,
now it's hard to beat Rebel. You're right. You're absolutely right. It's hard to beat Rebels as far as a lower kid friendly that the whole family could watch. It's tough.
And so I'm just ecstatic that that
for
at
geekiness,
at least Paramount's trying to get some of that back. I don't know if it's going to be as good as Rebels, and I love Star Trek. But Rebels
well, because the other ones weren't as good as Rebels. That's not the only one they did. And
Bad Batch, and no offense meant to Bad Batch, which did come out in 2021, but
it's not as good as Rebels, and I enjoyed the Bad Batch, but it's not as good as Rebels.
It's just not Rebels.
Yeah. So, all right, are we going to talk about the disappointments now?
Yeah, let's talk about the disappointments and lead into the worst.
All right. So I know what you're going to say, Chad.
What am I going to say?
I don't know. I don't know what you're going to say. But I'm going to talk about one.
I'm going to talk about my friends.
That I don't think, and by the way, we probably do need to speed it up a little bit. But the Many Saints of Newark. I am a huge Sopranos fan.
I could never make myself watch it.
I was so excited to watch it. And don't get me wrong, hanging out with that movie for 2 hours was fun. So the movie doesn't suck. I want to tell you now, the movie doesn't suck. But it is like 2 episodes. It's an episode. In fact, in the middle of the movie, where somewhere in the middle of the second act of a 3-act structure, you can tell that it started kind of another episode. Does that make sense to you too? So I thought maybe one of you might have seen it, but I'm such a huge Sopranos fan. I enjoyed the movie quite a bit, but it's 2 episodes. So do I recommend it? If you're a Sopranos fan, yes. Does it make sense to both of you?
Yeah.
If you just want to watch a movie, no, because I don't think it'll make any sense to anybody. And it's because it's kind of like 2 prequel episodes put together. I thought, and there's some history in it, but I thought
there would be
one of the riots in the 70s in New York riots.
Yeah, I appreciate that because it was almost a Boardwalk Empire, and I love Boardwalk Empire. And so when I
watch it, James,
I did not. But the reason I do want to watch it is because it uses historical events
It
like
does.
Boardwalk Empire did. And as somebody that works and plays with the history a lot, that made me go, oh, I'm glad they're doing that.
But that historical event you're talking about happens is midway through the movie, and when it's done, that's where the second episode picks up.
Yeah.
So everyone in it is a great actor. There are and it's so funny watching, or so much fun for people who love The Sopranos like myself to hang out. And I might actually watch it again. But for an overall movie, it's not the biggest disappointment. I was going to give that to Chad, but
I wonder which one you're talking about.
But it's pretty damn. It's just 2 episodes, 2 really good episodes. But that's what it is. I do not.
So you don't necessarily.
It fits fine on HBO Max. I'd have been pissed if I paid for a ticket.
I was gonna say so. The director of that program,
Alan Taylor, and David Chase wrote it. Was going to direct it, but
so
he
David
didn't actually.
Chase,
Alan Taylor directed a lot of the episodes.
I'm sorry. I think it was David Chase who was for a while saying it should have been only released in theaters.
He was mad as hell.
Yeah.
On this point, and he gave us maybe one of the best series of all time in The Sopranos. Definitely laid the groundwork for all this great streaming, this golden age of television that we're in right now. You really should give David Chase credit for that. If you don't know who that is, I'm watching on HBO Max was fine. If I'd have paid for 2 movie tickets, I'd have been mad as hell. Chad,
Joe. So I want you to tell me what you think my pick is going to be, because I'm kind of curious, because I got 2.
Well, I don't know that it should.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know we agree on it, but I don't know if it's actually your biggest disappointment as much as I didn't think
it's not.
I didn't have high expectations for it, and every expectation I had for it is exactly what the movie was I watched from the trailers.
Are we talking about The Matrix?
No.
Which one are we talking about?
Dune.
Okay, good. There was one of those 2.
Dune.
Those are my 2.
I had no expectations for The Matrix. So
Dune, and I'm going to talk about The Matrix too. I got to talk about it, but the Dune, both of those were so Dune. I didn't have any expectations because I was not a fan of the David Lynch version.
I prefer the Lynch version.
I just wasn't. It too much. The whole inner dialogue thing just bugged the shit out of me through the whole movie. I'm like, okay, can some of this be expressed outwardly into form of a dialogue? Does it all have to be internal? But no. But I had some anticipation because I love the director. We both do.
He's never made a bad picture, and Dune's not a bad movie.
It's not a bad one, but man, is it boring.
It has some boring spots. I'll tell you the problem. Now, I got into an argument at a Christmas party before Omicron happened 2 weeks ago. And it wasn't an argument. It's a friend of mine. Well, he's a husband of a lady I work with. And he just was adamant that I missed the whole point because I didn't see it in IMAX. I get what he's saying, because I feel, and we've talked about this on this, there are movies that play, and he may be right, but I wish the movie had just been titled Beige, because that's what it looked like to me. Everybody was like, look at the trailers. And I was like, it's so beige. And what's so wonderful about the Lynch version, which is a terribly flawed movie, I do not recommend it. I'm just saying I would prefer the Lynch version because visually it was more interesting to me.
In all fairness, if
any
to see
movie is better made, but
and to see it in IMAX, what does that have to do with the fact that it's honestly it's boring? There's parts in it that are
Gravity. This is so what I'll give them is to see Gravity or Avatar on TV was not the same experience as was to see Gravity and Avatar on a big screen. Especially
I didn't get a headache watching Avatar on the TV.
No.
Well, I didn't get a headache watching it on the big screen, and definitely.
But it turns out the reason I got a headache is because I'm cockeyed, which is something that's going to be fixed this year. So
does that make? Give us that. I'll give him that. Gravity watching it at home does not have the same effect as it did when I watched it on the big screen.
And I can't argue that because I did not get to see it. I had to watch it on the little TV. I had to watch it on a regular TV, and I was disappointed in it. So I was like, oh, this is when I should have watched it.
Yeah.
But no, Dune.
There may be part of that, but I'm with you. I think it's not compelling.
And the only part I liked about it, real quick, James, is Baron Harkonnen.
And I don't know why he liked it.
I just enjoyed him.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
About
like no one else.
Dune as a movie.
Yeah.
I'm talking about taking Frank Herbert's work and adapting it to a movie. Do you think that what Dune suffers from, because and I haven't seen the episode yet, but evidently one of the
people on YouTube,
episodes,
here's my paperback version.
Yeah. But evidently one of the recent episodes of the Book of Boba Fett plays a big credit to Dune. I haven't seen it yet.
I saw the first one, but
anyway, so
the second one does, and I was kind of like, why are they doing that? But anyway,
well, because George Lucas said he owes a lot to Dune, so it's an homage. That being said,
it's a little on the nose.
Do you think that's the problem? And what I mean by that is, we talked about this when we saw John Carter of Mars.
Yeah.
That, when John Carter, the stories came out, and there's some issues with how dated those stories are now anyway. But is that what we're seeing with Dune? Is that why it's really
everybody
hard to
cherry picked it before you got to see it? Is that what
yeah, because I watched it and
I just think he's trying to stretch out this story, and it's not Lord of the Rings. It's not. I mean,
bigger than Lord of the Rings, right?
Well, it's
the Dune franchise.
Well, in terms of, hold on, let me rephrase what I'm saying here. Lord of the Rings, that first movie. So it's very slow at the start, but then it picks up, like about 3/4 of the way through.
The first 10 minutes aren't slow at all.
Well, yeah, but Dune, it doesn't have that. The first Dune doesn't have that transition. It's just, okay, this is happening. It's just stuff that's happening. And I know he's trying to get all the story. It's building up to something, and it's eventually going to get there. But man, they needed to put something else into that movie.
So a lot of people were pissed.
And science fiction people can kiss my ass. They're gonna hate me.
A lot of people were pissed about the cliffhanger in it. That didn't actually bother me. I knew that it wasn't going to tell the whole story.
Right? Yeah, we knew.
Well, there's people I work with a guy who was kind of like, and he's a good friend, and he was like, I didn't know. It made me mad. And I guess if you didn't know, it would be pretty. So what the hell? I gotta wait. And the defense of Lord of the Rings trilogy, all of those, that there's a next one, but there's a little bit more of an ending than there is in Dune. That final knife scene is just, it does.
That's what I'm saying.
Close.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a bad place to end it.
Yeah.
But I literally just had that question because I think
it's a letdown. It is a letdown.
I watched. I'll be honest. I didn't. This is my only review I can give Dune. I started it and I didn't finish it before it was taken off HBO Max.
Well, I had to watch.
I made it probably 3/4 of the way through, and then something happened. I had to help my kid,
and not even Rebecca Ferguson could save it.
Oh, but I'm such a crush on Rebecca Ferguson.
As do I.
But I
everybody in it's good. It's just
that's what I mean. It's just is it because it's been cherry picked like John Carter was? That's
not a bad movie.
No, I own John Carter.
It's just not.
I have it on Blu-ray.
Great or overly good, and it should have been called Princess of Mars.
It should have been called Princess of Mars.
Right.
But I have it on Blu-ray, and I've showed it to my kids. I said, we wouldn't have the science fiction we have today had this story not been written.
Chad's right. We need to wrap this one up.
Real quick, I am going to talk about the Matrix because I do want to talk about the Matrix. I don't want to call it a disappointment, but at the same time, I went in with nothing because let's face it, out of the 3 movies, there's been one really good one. The other 2 were, So we went into that, and at the same time, I'm like, a lot of I don't normally go and look at reviews. I really don't. I don't want to, but all I kept seeing was either you like it or you hate it, and that's one of those things where I have a problem with sometimes because I'm like, yeah, you can sort of like it and sort of hate it, and that's where I came in with the Matrix. I'm like, it's not bad, but it's not something I'm ever going to go back and rewatch.
It's kind of a TV movie version of a Matrix. And and back to Chad at James's point, I actually think it's more true for the Matrix Revolutions than it is Dune. That's a movie that got cherry picked with so many other movies that were talking about meta things. I mean, even before Scream, that they finally start talking about in the Matrix, about the Matrix games. And James, if you haven't watched it, I'm not giving too much away.
No.
Where they're commenting on what is real, what isn't. I feel like there's other movies that have done it better, and that it's been cherry picked. And by the time that if they did Matrix Revolution maybe 10 years ago, it would have been more of an impact. Whereas now it's like, I've kind of seen a lot of these ideas in other movies.
It's Resurrections, right? Matrix
Resurrections or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Chad, does that make sense? What do you all? What do you
no,
think?
I agree. If it was, it didn't.
I think Keanu actually gives a better performance than he does in the first three.
Yeah.
And she probably does too. I just don't. It didn't. I watched it.
It did nothing for me.
And then it's a lot of exposition.
Yeah.
So it's the 13th floor of Matrix films.
It kind of is. I mean, it's a lot of them talking and explaining things, and then there's an action sequence. It really doesn't make any sense.
But at the same time, that happens a lot that happens a lot in the last two Matrix films too. There's like the whole scene with the Medici in the second Matrix film. I still can't take that scene.
And they refer back to a lot of the other two movies as they go. And in the movie, it's a game. It's not awful, but I can't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it unless you just love the Matrix. But I don't know anybody anymore who just sits around and talks about the Matrix. Almost all of the people I know who are like us is like, oh, the first one.
Yeah. It's all it is.
And it's of its time.
Wait.
James, you're muted. What happened?
Oh, did I? Am I muted?
No,
Okay,
he just had a stroke.
No, y'all are leading into the movie that I wanted to talk about.
Okay, go for it. Do it.
Because it's the same problem I have there. And it honestly, it's a movie.
I can't wait to talk about the movies I hated.
It's a movie that I will buy on Blu-ray and I will revisit it and I'll watch it again. And I saw it in theaters. I'm glad I saw it in theaters. But after I walked out, I was like, I don't know who I can recommend this to. And it hurts me to say this because I love this franchise. Man, No Time to Die. It's not bad, folks. It's not bad. Watch it. If you like Bond, good. You've seen it all before, though. You've seen it all before. It is.
Isn't that an ongoing thing that the last Bond movie that these people do is never the best? It's like always like,
oh no, and I think that's
hold
what
on.
made
Pierce Brosnan's last one's pretty good.
What is it? I can't remember what his last.
Brosnan's last one. It was the snow one.
It was you're killing me.
It has the worst Bond song.
Bond song. It's got the
Madonna's.
Oh shoot.
That one was Chad. That one wasn't bad.
I didn't see it. A lot of the Pierce Brosnan ones I can't watch, so I gave up on it.
I saw it.
I prefer it over. Everybody loves Goldeneye, but I probably prefer that one. Or
I
Tomorrow
showed my
Never
kids
Dies.
Goldeneye for the first time. I showed Silas Goldeneye. He liked it.
Invincible.
Yeah, Alan Cumming. Alan, do not mess with Alan Cumming, sir.
Dude, I love Alan Cumming, but he is annoying in that movie.
Well,
all right. So anyway,
No Time to Die.
Don't watch No Time to Die.
No, watch it. But my problem is, again, one of the things that I really loved about the Daniel Craig Bond, and that's my son's favorite Bond. He's younger. I told him he's wrong. But anyway, no offense meant to Daniel Craig. Please don't hurt me. But anyway, it's the Daniel Craig Bonds were always very much grounded in reality, right? Roger Moore's were fantastic. And the weapons, as the franchise went on, the weapons got more and more ludicrous. And
Die Another Day.
Yes, thank you. It is die. You've got to outlive the cliche. You've got to die another day. Thank you, Madonna. Anyway, this movie, it's great to see Christoph Waltz back as Blofeld, but he's there for about 4 minutes. It's effective when he is there, but they close that chapter really quick and not overly meaningfully. I mean, he taunts Bond, and then he's gone. So it gives you treats, right? I mean, I honestly felt like as a Bond fan, I was like, oh, that piece of candy, right? It works. It's a perfectly serviceable film, but I really wanted Daniel Craig to go out on a great movie.
He's a really good Bond. He's probably the best actor of the Bonds.
Yeah, especially playing Bond. That Sean Connery
but no,
did different things
well, Sean Connery was a movie star. Sean Connery is
Yeah.
one of the biggest movie stars of all time.
But no, and I agree.
Sean Connery is probably on a list of what, the top 10 movie stars of all time.
Clint Eastwood.
I
Clint
think
Eastwood, maybe, yeah. Yeah, no, you know what I mean, though, of just
Yeah,
movie stars.
Sean Connery, Clint Eastwood, John Wayne. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think
just movie stars.
I think one of the things that wore me out about No Time to Die, and I say this is again, I don't hate it. I enjoyed it. I'm just a little disappointed because it seems to replay notes from the previous Daniel Craig. He's tired of being Bond. He's tired of being an agent. He got shot. He's injured. Blah 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 blah. We saw that in Skyfall. We saw that in, and so this time it just feels like, and yes, they do a quote unquote twist, but I'll be honest. 10 minutes into the movie, I could tell you exactly what was going to happen. I could tell you, and that's without spoilers. I was like, because I avoided everything, and I'm like, no, here's what is going to happen. Here's what they're going to do. The acting in it's great. Everything's great. It's just that we've seen it all before. Now, like I said, am I going to buy it on Blu-ray and watch it again? Absolutely. I have all the Bond films over there. I love Bond as a franchise. I even sit through some of the Roger Moore ones that I'm not a huge fan of. I like Roger Moore, no offense, and Roger Moore did a lot of good. That being said, No Time to Die was good, but it was a good disappointment. It was serviceable. It did the job. Was I excited to see Bond back on the big screen? Absolutely. But it's nowhere near my favorite Daniel Craig Bond, and definitely not one of my favorite Bond movies.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry, people. Feel free to hate me. Again, my name is Chad Jennings. And
so what did you hate, guys? We've already talked about Wally Wonderland and how much I hated it. So let's see if we talk about the other two that I'm sure we're going to agree on one. I'm assuming we are. Do you want me to go?
I'll do one real quick since you just said Wally's Wonderland, and it was bad. I don't know that it's just such a waste of, there was a good movie you could have done low budget there, right? Do you agree?
Yeah.
There's a good, worse movie there. I had that. I'll tell you something that was really popular on Netflix, and I watched every single one of them because I reviewed them for Scarefest. But those fucking Fear Street movies were just dreadful, just fucking dreadful. I had a hard time making it through all three, and I reviewed each three of them. There'd be about one scene that was watchable out of all three. And I mean, you're talking what? 3 movies? I sat through 4.5 hours of that shit. Oh, Jesus. It was awful.
So you know who those were meant for? I realized.
Not me.
11-year-old girls. My daughter loves them.
Oh God. Awesome.
So the worst movie of the year.
Yeah.
I want to reiterate. Worst movie of 2021.
All right.
Army of the fucking Dead.
Oh, I don't know if it's the worst one.
Oh God, it's dreadful. Everything about that movie.
I've got a question, Chad.
There's some scenes in it I enjoyed, even though it was terrible.
I've got a question about this because it also came out in 2021, and I wanted to know if you've seen it.
I have not seen the spinoff.
Okay, because I can't make myself watch
refuse.
it. I can't make myself watch it.
I will never. I didn't give a shit about Dieter in Army of the Dead. You think I'm going to go watch another 2-hour movie about that piece of shit character that I fucking annoyed me?
I don't know why he got his own spinoff.
It makes no sense. Zack Snyder makes no sense. I'm sorry, Zack Snyder. Yeah, I've liked 1.5 of your movies, 2.5 of your movies. But no, Army of the Dead, it was just dreadful. Everything about it. Everything was every time it go forward, it was more infuriating of the next. There was just nothing. And why does Dave Bautista have to be that role? What the hell do you lead up to the part about they can't get wet? They can't get wet. And then nothing happened.
No.
Me and the guys earlier this year, we talked about how dreadful this movie was. And we were going to do a whole episode on Chekhov's gun and how they just that Chekhov's gun was completely empty. I mean, it was just, they kept teasing certain things that were going to happen. And then nothing happened with those. It just forgot it. And then all of a sudden there's cyborg zombies in the middle of it. And there's no explanation as to why they're cyborgs. Everything about that movie's terrible. And I wasted 2 hours of my day on it. And I hate Zack Snyder now.
I don't know if it's the word. I'm having a hard time. You had a visceral reaction.
Oh God. Yeah. I was angry. I have not been this much. I'll tell you the last time I was this angry watching a movie, and how much every single thing. And even at the end, I'm like, why did they keep building stuff up and then never follow up on it? The only other movie that has made me legitimately this angry is when I left Superman Returns. I don't know if you remember, Joe. I saw this with you in the theater. I wanted to punch the wall. Why the fuck is it his kid? I was so angry. I was like, everything about perfectly cast Lex Luthor. Brandon Routh as Superman was great. Wasn't Clark Kent, but I still enjoyed it. And then just the story was terrible. Army of the Dead far succeeds at how pissed I was watching a movie, and I could not stop watching it just because of how terrible it was. A train wreck.
As much as I didn't care for those Fear Street films, I did not hate them that bad. Yeah, and Army of the Dead's pretty bad movie. I agree. And there's also here's the real shitter.
You don't give a shit about any of the characters in there except
nothing changes. If they did nothing would have changed.
Right.
At the end of the movie, correct? If they did nothing in that movie changed.
Right. Just
nothing. It had no impact on the world. Right?
So yeah. And you know,
but the movie was too. Here's the real bitch of it, Chad. And I'm going to tell you, it's not everything you say. Although I agree with you, if they get wet, they start. Never fucking happen. So,
and you know, they tease the big saw. Then the saw's never used.
That's bad. That's bad. The real problem is that there's no reason that son of a bitch should be 2.5 hours long.
No,
it's almost 2.5 hours fucking long.
And it's because they build so much shit up and they never follow through with it. They just forget that they talked about it. And still, the thing that pisses me off the most is the cyborg zombies. Why the hell does he have cyborg zombies out of nowhere? It's just nothing about that movie makes fucking sense. God. And then they go and make a spinoff about Dieter.
He's red.
Fuck Dieter. Yes, I'm angry.
James, go.
Chad, just settle down. I'll tell you what'll make you feel better.
I can't wait till you hear my second movie that I hated.
I know what will make you feel better, Chad.
What?
It's, you know, you look at a film that has great talent, and you know you're going to be watching a film that's going to challenge your expectations, going to reset everything for you. You just go.
I'm still getting angry about the cyborgs.
You watch Bliss, because how can you go wrong with Owen Wilson and Selma Hayek?
Did you actually watch it?
I didn't watch it.
It's on a couple of lists of the worst. Did you actually watch it, James?
I made it about 15 minutes, and I was
What's
like, I don't care. I don't even remember, dude. But I saw the trailer for it, and I'm like, Selma Hayek and Owen Wilson, and it's I will
watch anything with Selma Hayek in it for at least 20 minutes.
About 15 minutes. Well, you'll make it further than that. About 15
I got through Grown Ups.
I realized.
Oh God, the sequel to that's off. I mean, they're both bad, but the sequel to it isn't even a movie.
15 minutes in to Bliss, I was like, why am I watching this again? And I quit. So I guess I shouldn't review it. But if you love Bliss, remember, my name is Chad Jennings, and you can contact me and tell me why I'm wrong.
I haven't watched it, but another movie, isn't she in the Hitman's Bodyguard's Hitman's Wife?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that first movie isn't great.
Fun, but it's fun. It's fun, but it's not great either.
It's Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds, which is why I don't understand why Red Notice is Netflix's most streamed movie. It's not a good film.
Oh, is it not? I mean,
I didn't enjoy it.
Everything I've looked at is people posting going, "But they just shoot the whole damn thing on Zoom."
It's ridiculously. It's everything in it is trope 80s action. It's just ridiculous. So Joe, do you have
that you hate?
Oh God,
I don't have a lot of things that I have that reaction to, guys.
Well, and I didn't see much this year.
No, right? And a lot of stuff I you know, some things. Most things were just, if I didn't like it, it was a disappointment. I didn't really hate anything, except that was fierce. I don't know. I think I was just pissed that I had to, because I just said, and they were so popular on Netflix. I felt like I had to review them, and it just pissed me off.
Yeah. So the other movie I hated was a sequel that did not need to happen. Space Jam: A New Legacy.
Why'd you watch it?
Because it's Space Jam.
Okay.
A New Legacy.
That is the first mistake, my friend.
I gotta go with James on this one. I did not watch it.
So I
couldn't make myself. I tried.
It's Space Jam.
For the other one.
I liked Space Jam as a kid. I hate Space Jam now. It's just terrible. But it had the Looney Tunes in it. You know what Space Jam: A New Legacy doesn't have in it?
Looney Tunes.
Fucking Looney Tunes. they're in it. They're barely in it. It's mostly LeBron. Oh, I don't have a relationship with my son. And that's what Looney Tunes that's what Space Jam: A New Legacy is. Yeah, there's Bugs Bunny in the background, but it's mostly LeBron James not being able to act.
You know what was worse than the Paw Patrol movie though? I will throw another movie under the bus.
And then okay, go ahead. And then I got another thing I got to say about Space Jam: A New Legacy.
But my kid enjoyed it, but he's 4, so his taste is questionable.
Yeah.
That Tom and Jerry movie is pretty bad. I couldn't.
God, it's
I had to
terrible.
leave the room.
Yeah, no, I did.
I didn't have to leave. I don't have to leave the room most of the time. I can tune things out. But that one's.
My kids made me watch it, and I was sitting there playing on my phone. I couldn't watch it.
And it opened him up to actually now watch Tom and Jerry cartoons, which do not age as well as you might think.
No, I don't like Tom and Jerry. I never did.
As a kid, I enjoyed it. No. There's no characterization. There's nothing there. They're just he enjoys them though. So I'm fucked.
Yeah. So no, Looney Tunes, Space Jam. I got to quit saying Looney Tunes. Space Jam's A New Legacy. It was just absolutely dreadful. There is no plot. It's LeBron James not being able to act. Bugs Bunny and the team is hardly in it, if at all. And then at the end, they get this like kind of computerized version of themselves, which does not look great. I like the 2D with the them. But here's one of the things I just absolutely despised. So the big game where they're determining what happens, Warner Brothers puts every single one of their properties in the audience. I don't know if you've heard about this. Like every character from every movie that Warner Brothers.
I know the Iron Giant has a cameo in it. Right?
They're all watching the game. The Iron Giant's in there. You see the Mask from Jim Carrey's The Mask is in there. And what kills me the most, and I'll make this quick, everybody complained about the fact that the guys from Clockwork Orange were there watching the game.
Why would they be?
Because they're
in there.
Because they're there for a little bit of the in out and out. You know, the basketball goes in and it comes out.
And they are front row rooting for they're there the whole time.
Who do they root for?
It doesn't show. They're just going, yeah, I'm assuming the Looney Tunes because they're all going, yeah. But here's the biggest kicker, guys. You know who else is in the front row and nobody talks about this? And I spotted it and I had to look it up to make sure I was right. There is another character from a Warner Brothers property. Do any of you all remember Ken Russell's The Devils?
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen it. It's a movie. You have a hard time getting an unedited copy.
It's been discontinued. Yeah, you can't.
I can't. That's the reason I can't find it. People worship it, but it's an X film.
I've never seen it either, but I know The Nun. The Nun is in the front row.
How did you pick up on that?
I just saw it. I remember scenes from seeing clips of the movie, and I had to look it up.
Do they have the Conjuring nun in there too?
No, I didn't see her. I saw the Ken Russell's The Devil though, and it was kind of funny. One of my favorite sites that I like to read history articles on, Cracked, did a whole segment on it of going, "Why is everybody bitching?" And I was like, I can't believe I should be writing for Cracked because everybody's like, they're bitching about the Clockwork Orange. Nobody ever noticed this figure, and then went down a breakdown of the Ken Russell's The Devils.
Yeah, no, you can't get a copy. So, so I don't even know if you can find it on YouTube, but I don't think. I mean, they've never released and I'm not trying to. I don't know a better way to put it. They've never released an unmolested copy in America, have they?
Yeah, no, I don't think they have.
Yeah,
but sure enough, that nun is sitting there in the Warner Brothers universe, rooting for the Looney Tunes.
I've always wanted to see it.
Yeah, me too. Just out of curiosity.
I need to get back onto that wagon and find it.
Space Jam: A New Legacy. We will hopefully never get another sequel. I know, like, LeBron James is, the next Michael Jordan.
Well, but the thing is, before even Space Jam came, collector cards that was like King Griffey Jr. and the Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
And like Nolan Ryan was part of that series too. That's why I knew about it. I've got Nolan Ryan cards from it. Why do they keep doing basketball? There's other sports.
Well, because it's all because this is a fan movie. Everybody said, well, why don't we do LeBron James meets the Looney Tunes since he's the next Michael Jordan? And so Warner Brothers saw a cash cow and said, let's do it. And it's.
I know Tiger.
You're telling me it's worse than the original Space Jam, which, by the way, is produced by Ivan Reitman.
Yes, it is way worse.
And the original Space Jam,
because at least the original Space Jam has A, Bill Murray, and B, the fucking Looney Tunes being the Looney Tunes.
With the line, "Why are you here? I'm a friend of the producers."
Yeah.
That is a definite inside joke.
And A New Legacy doesn't have any of that. It literally has LeBron James trying to connect with his son, and that's all it is. It's disappointing. It was very disappointing.
Well, and also it doesn't have Pepe Le Pew.
Nope. Yeah, Pepe got removed.
Well,
so there you go.
I mean, him and Harvey.
All right.
So I'm glad I got to rant about Army of the Dead
better?
fucking sucking. Seriously.
You okay? You okay? Would
okay.
you like to, Joe? Do you have any more disappointments?
I mean, I am nothing but
Disappointment.
43 years of disappointment, but keep going.
Well, Chad, would it make you feel better? Would you like to kick off our conversations that we're going to wrap up with? What are you looking forward to in 2022?
Oh man, I've got so many. So right away, John Wick Chapter 4. That's the obvious one.
Didn't it get moved?
Did it?
I think so.
Sons of bitches.
Yeah,
but the movie,
now,
but the movie I'm really most looking forward about, since I have been riddled. I told everybody I was going to mention Nicolas Cage numerous times. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I've got to see
that is the one that's on my list. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
That is the movie that I watched the Red Band trailer and I was like, oh yes. Please, I need it. I hope I get to see that in theaters. I got to see Mandy in theaters, so I'm hoping the same theater I saw Mandy in will get this one, because
Joe,
I have to see that movie.
Are you aware of The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent?
No.
James,
Nicolas Cage plays Nick Cage. He plays Nick Cage. And it's about him. And the best part of the trailer is him and it's Neil Patrick Harris, isn't it?
I think so.
And they're literally, and he's like, well, what would we do? And he goes, you need money. You're spending money faster than you can get it, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, oh, your biggest fan wants to meet you at his birthday party, and he will pay you $1 million for half an hour. And Nick Cage says, okay, I'll do it. And it's kind of like, and I've made this allusion before, and we've had one of the authors of the movie on the show. It's like Free Enterprise. William Shatner playing Bill Shatner.
Yeah.
It's the same. He plays an over-the-top version of himself, but it turns out his biggest fan happens to be a drug dealer. And it's just a madcap hilarity that comes out. Like, I watched a trailer, and there's a normal trailer, but watch the Red Band if you can.
Yeah, watch the Red Band.
Oh, I literally watch it, and I'm like, just take my money. I mean, people talk about JCVD, which is Jean-Claude Van Damme, where he kind of plays himself. And I enjoyed that, but nothing. I've got to see it. And if I end up talking about it being one of my big disappointments at the end of the year, I apologize, but I have to see that movie.
So that's one. Do you just want me to go down the list and then we can list everybody else's?
Yeah.
I'll go fast. Okay, so I'm also looking forward to Havoc. Have you all heard of Havoc?
Nope.
No.
Directed by Gareth Evans of The Raid fame. Listen to this cast: Tom Hardy, Timothy Olyphant, Forrest Whitaker, and the piece de resistance, Luis Guzman. It's one of my favorite actors of all time, people. It's about a detective who's been beat up and he's fighting his way through the criminal underworld, trying to rescue a politician's estranged son.
Okay.
And the combination of Gareth Evans and Tom Hardy was enough. But then you listen to the cast of Forrest Whitaker, Timothy Olyphant, Luis Guzman, and I am legitimately stoked for this film. There's no trailer yet. It's supposed to be released sometime this year. They don't have a release date yet. Hopefully it doesn't get pushed back, but I'm dying to see this. This movie, just by the name and the plot, Elizabeth Banks, who is slowly getting out of acting and becoming a director. I got to see Cocaine Bear. Do either one of you know about this film?
Mentioned it before, yeah.
Yeah, it's about a bear in the woods who finds a stash of backpack of cocaine and eats it, and then goes on a murderous rampage.
Yeah.
So I want to go out.
I'm also looking forward to Jordan Peele's Nope.
Nope. Yeah, I don't know what it's about, but I don't want to know. That's just enough for me.
Nobody knows what it's about, other than the poster is bizarre.
Yeah.
So
when I saw the poster, and I was just pulled it up earlier, it actually looks like Close Encounters of the Third Kind to me. And then you kind of look at it a little bit more. From
You
a
think?
distance. Well, from a distance, because I'm looking right at it right now, and the first thing I think of when I see it because of the clouds and the sky is Close Encounters, but
It
you
may
see
be.
something raising to it. So
I don't know if this is getting released this year, but man, I hope it does. I can't find a release date, but a couple sources listed it as being in 2022. Confess Fletch with John Hamm taking on the role of Fletch.
oh, okay.
So it's Fletch 3 with John Hamm. That's all I know about it. And then finally, I will watch anything that Ari Aster does. So I'm really looking forward to Disappointment Boulevard with Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
So that's it. What do you got, Scott?
You want me to go? You want to go?
I'll go. The Northman, Robert
Yep.
Eggers.
That's on my list. Good.
Yeah, I want to see that just because I love The Witch. I enjoyed The Lighthouse quite a bit. It's not a horror film, but I enjoyed the Lighthouse. It's batshit nuts. Knives Out too. I loved Knives Out. I could just watch him play that character. He's basically doing Shelby Foote's voice, by the way.
Yeah.
Those are the two that there's a couple that I want to be excited for, but I was not overly. So I'm a huge. These two nerds know that Sam Raimi's my favorite director. I wasn't blown away by the new Multiverse Doctor Strange trailer. It didn't look like Sam Raimi to me.
No, it didn't, and that's what
it's on my list though.
I want to see it, guys, but it didn't look like a Sam Raimi movie.
But it looks like a Doctor Strange movie. So I'm good. I'm for it.
And you know, I was rewatching one of the Spider-Man because my kid loves Spider-Man and he likes the Raimi ones.
Yeah, I got to show them that. I got to show them to my oldest because she wants to watch them.
He likes them, Chad. He can watch 1 and 3. Actually, he can watch all of them. He can watch 1 all the time.
And she wants to see part 2 because I told her that's my favorite Spider-Man film.
And I forget that there's that he threw Doctor Strange into the first one as like, oh, Doctor Strange, when they're trying to name the people, and he goes, already taken. So I want to be excited about it because I have a Sam Raimi picture coming out, but I'm not. I'm not at all. After I saw the trailer, I was like, yeah, looks like the other Doctor Strange movie, which is a completely fine film. But what I would rather have is a new Sam Raimi movie than an actual Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah, because I'm
fine with Doctor Strange.
I agree with James. I'm looking forward to it, and it is a Sam Raimi film, so I am looking forward to it as well. But yeah, I am worried because Sam Raimi does have a history of falling into studio and producers what they want, and a lot of the times we lose Sam Raimi.
Yeah, I mean, you get scenes of it, but I mean, Spider-Man 3 is a great example.
Yeah,
of that. Poor bastard. You know,
sometimes the Oz
billions of dollars. The Oz film does look a lot like Sam Raimi movie though in scenes.
I know.
Yeah, in scenes though, but then some of it's lost.
That problem in that movie is that movie is completely miscast.
Yeah, I love Sam Raimi, and I get what you are saying. But Doctor Strange is one of my favorite characters, and when Scott Derrickson stepped aside, I was scared for a character that I love. I'm not scared with Sam Raimi at the helm.
Yeah, even though they're reshooting a third of it.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, right.
I can't believe
that's not unheard of. I don't know that makes the movie bad or worse. What I did read is that they just didn't get a lot of what they wanted because of protocols. Yeah. And also, I know from Bruce Campbell that if Sam Raimi has $50 or 10 or 200 million, and you've both heard him say this, Sam Raimi is going to shoot.
Yeah,
like he's got 200 million, whether he's got $50 or 200 million. That's the reason why we never did get Evil Dead 4 and we got Ash versus Evil Dead series, because none of them thought they could ever make the money back for what money it was going to cost to Sam Raimi to make an Evil Dead 4.
Right.
Yeah.
And so those are the two. There are other movies. I actually like the new Jurassic World films. They're dumb fun.
You lost me.
yeah, no, I'm right there with you, James.
I like them. They're dumb fun. I'm not excited for them, but I enjoy them. They're not bad. I like them better than Jurassic Park 2 and 3. So I couldn't give two shits about Hocus Pocus 2. I never understand why anybody cares about Hocus Pocus. Oh my God. That's it, guys. There's just not a lot I can see. I mean, there's other things I know coming. What's the Flash movie with Keaton? Is that coming out next year?
Supposed to.
Yeah.
So, but I've had enough member berries with Spider-Man and Ghostbusters.
So good.
I
You can
think
use
it'd be cool.
you can use my list then, because every single one of my films, I'm legitimately excited. And by the way, the one thing I forgot to mention for 2022, for comic book wise, is I'm really looking forward to this Peacemakers show that's coming out soon. I'm hoping it doesn't suck. So
Well, so you're good, Joe?
There's just not a ton of things I'm excited.
Well, there's a couple things I'm looking forward to. Now, the first thing I'm going to talk about that I'm looking forward to, I need to qualify. I'm looking forward to it because I'm going to see it with my son. My son has played the Uncharted games religiously.
Yeah.
And
it looks fun.
10 years ago, it would have been Nathan Fillion. It should have been Nathan Fillion.
Yes.
That got bounced around forever. It's now Tom Holland, which will be serviceable.
It wasn't eventually going to, wasn't also going to be Chris Pratt at one point?
Yeah, I think so. Having watched my son play the game, what you see in the trailer is fairly accurate. It's a lot of running your mouth. It's Indiana Jones meets Fletch. That's actually a good way to think about it. You mentioned Fletch earlier. He runs his mouth constantly. He gets beat up all the time. And I at first I was like, Tom Holland, and then I was watching the game and I'm like, no, it'll work. It could work. Do I think it's going to be Shakespearean? No. Is it a film that I know my son's going to love because he loves those games and I can take him to see it and we'll have a good time? Yeah. So for me, it's like King Kong versus Godzilla. He wanted to see that really bad. So I'm looking forward to that because it'll be a good father-son movie.
The only issue I have with it is Mark Wahlberg.
Well, but in the game, there is an older guy that's kind of his guide.
Oh, I get it. I just don't particularly care for Mark Wahlberg.
Well, no. And the guy in the game is terrible.
No charisma. Somehow or another, that guy became a movie star, and I've never quite understood.
Yeah.
I'm
right there with Joe. Yeah, Mark Wahlberg. Yes.
You leave Marky Mark alone. There's some other things that
his
I'm
best
vaguely
performance is
interested
the
in.
big hit.
There's some other things I'm vaguely interested in. I'll see more.
You beat me to it. I was getting ready to say it. So
the only time he's been funny or charming. Keep going.
There's some other things that I'm interested in seeing vaguely that I won't say I'm eager for, but Morbius would be an example of that. I must admit,
but
a slight sick interest in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 because the first one was better than it had.
It has any right to be. I know he watched it the other day, and it's unwatchable.
I will watch part 2. Yes, I agree with you on that one because I enjoyed part 1.
But you mentioned Northman.
It's no Cocaine Bear.
No. You mentioned the Northman. I agree. I want to see the Northman. I do want to see Doctor Strange. I have no interest. You mentioned one you have no interest in. I'm sorry if I could care less about Top Gun Maverick. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no,
I know.
I will say I will not see Top Gun Maverick. I will not go out of my way to watch it.
I'll eventually see it on something.
No, but I'm not going to waste 2 hours of my time.
But you know what I could not wait for, because I have never been disappointed in a film made by this director. Thor: Love and Thunder. I
almost thought about saying it, but you're asking me about actual excitement, and Taika Waititi is nobody. I mean, he just is fantastic. He's just a chameleon filmmaker.
Yeah.
But I want to see it. I enjoyed Ragnarok a lot. It's a lot of fun.
But I think I'm with Joe. Joe, as I'm a little bit comic book movie burned out. So
I mean, if they're good, they're good.
Yeah, as long as I'm entertained. But no, I look forward to that one. And the other one that I do look forward to.
Notice nobody said the Batman. I'm just like,
yeah.
No, I think, to be honest, watching the trailer, I'm like, oh, I'll give Robert Pattinson credit. He has disappeared into that role pretty well.
Robert Pattinson is a fucking talented actor. I agree. Yeah, he was the best part about. Yeah, go ahead.
But the final movie that I'm really pumped for, and again, it's because it will be no. I said I was trying to get to the final movie. I am extremely pumped for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, because we're finally getting on the big screen Spider-Man 2099. We interviewed Peter David for 3 hours. I talked to him about it. I own the complete run of that series. I love Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara being voiced by Oscar Isaac. Can't really ask for much better than that. Looking forward to that one quite a bit.
We've been going 2 hours. Chad?
I'm good. I'm stoked about, honestly, I am stoked about Havoc. I want to see Havoc more than anything this year.
Actually, the thing I'm looking forward to the most is not a movie, by the way. and I'm hoping we can con him onto our show, because I don't know. I've mentioned him before. We've mentioned him when we had authors on the air. One of my favorite living authors is Gabino Iglesias. His book, The Devil Takes You Home, which the tagline for it is, sometimes God is your co-pilot, but it's the devil that will take you home. It has been the advanced copies. The reviews have said things like an extremely powerful and gripping thriller, the perfect read for fans of Breaking Bad and Stephen King. It has already been optioned for a movie. The book doesn't come out until August. I'm chomping at the bit to get it. The movie, I think, will be coming out a year or two after that. I'm hoping we can con him into doing our show. I'm saying this and putting it out into the universe, hoping that we can con him onto the show. But The Devil Takes You Home comes out as a novel in August, and I am so ready for it to get it.
I do want to end on one note. This movie will not come out in 2022, but I am damn excited, guys, damned excited to follow in 2023 the progress. And I've mentioned him 100 times. I'm going to mention him one last time before we end. The progress of the movie Renfield with Nicolas Cage as Dracula.
Yeah.
I'm dying.
Oh, yeah.
I am dying to get more information on this. Nicholas Hoult, I believe, is playing Renfield. It's all based on him. I just want to see that. I want to see where they go with this film. And then I want to see a trailer by the end of the year so I can be stoked. So I can say in 2023, I am looking forward to seeing Renfield.
I wish the Grindhouse films would have made $1 bajillion, so we would have got him as Fu Manchu.
Well, I don't know. They
I'd
could have got
watch
it then. You couldn't have got it now.
No.
All right, guys. Well, this has been our 2021 look back. If you have complaints, send them all to
Chad Jennings.
There you go.
Hey.
Thank you all so much. Subscribe.
Oh, nobody watches it. You're not getting an email. Don't act like you're upset.
I know.
Just the listeners.
And if anybody dares emails me and says Army of the Dead is an underappreciated classic of a piece of
Oh
art,
my
I'm gonna
God.
fucking
Please do it. Please do it.
send him an email and
You
have
can
it.
find
Have
him
the
on. You
subject.
can find him on Twitter. You can find him on Facebook.
Have the subject to your email to chat about that be Ingmar Bergman would have to stand on the shoulders of Orson Welles to achieve what Zack Snyder did.
You
in
reach
that
the
film.
top shelf to get the borax to clean your eyes after watching.
I can't wait to see Zack Snyder's failed Star Wars script be made into a movie this year. Oh boy.
All right, gentlemen.
I'll
this
be
has been-
honest, I was never interested in Zack Snyder's Justice League either. Sorry, I know that's
No,
another thing.
I
no, it's a piece
rewatched
of
the
shit.
8-hour version. It didn't improve it that much.
No, it did not at all. It's a piece of shit.
All right. It's been
Fucking cyborg zombies.
Ah.